Okay. And then. Cannot minimize Zoom when you're recording. All right.
Good morning, Dolores.
Morning. Who is that?
Zoltan, sorry.
Oh, I thought you were gonna be here.
I'm gonna be in person a little bit later. There are just some stuff I have to finish at home first.
You want me to help you, Dolores? You want me to do that?
I don't know about it. I was like, how can I move all this stuff around? All right, so we got it. This is good. All righty. Did everyone sign in? That's our
Yeah.
maintenance part. Did everywhere, I don't know where it is.
Right
Okay. Come on in. Front door is still open, right? I don't know if you came in. Oh, okay.
Can I have a donut?
Just walk up front and make sure that it's open. I put the little wedgie thing there. So people can just walk in because it's. Okay, and you need forms. So you're gonna grab one of each of these and then a packet of these. So one of each and then that packet. Neil, are you goofing off?
One.
One of each.
No, I'm not. I'm on my, I have my client who bought,
Oh, thanks. You're more efficient.
is in, so I'm going up to drop off a welcome to Florida gift.
Oh, nice. All right, we're gonna get started. I think there's about 20 people on right now. Oh, we got more than that because we got 4 or 5 in here. Okay, cool. We're only doing this one live class, so it's being recorded. And we're gonna have to go old school because we need to be able to see the differences and write the information down so we get it. So you can sit anywhere, but you're gonna grab one of each of these.
It's locked, Dolores. Do you need a fob to open it?
No, there's a green button on the right side.
Ah,
You
okay.
push it and then open it and then put that little wedge back in. Little art to it. All right, so, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the current real contract that doesn't have draft written on it. And so you're gonna write on this one. And you're gonna make notes on it, and that way, and you also have the red line version, so you have both. But that way, when you actually see the real contract, when it comes out on November 1st, then you won't have the draft version, so you won't know what changed in front of you. So that's why we're gonna use 2 documents at the same time. Now, if you're in Zoom land, you should have gotten the entire package without the current sales contract. So you got the whole draft, you got everything that we got, but you didn't get this, the regular contract that we already have. So you can either take notes or whatever you gotta do. But you're not gonna see the changes when they turn one off and turn the other one on. And that's where the problem's gonna be. Because you're gonna assume, oh, I already know this contract, but you're not gonna see the little intricacies that they put on there. And they snuck some strange things in, and then they would take out one word on one document, and I'm like, well, we don't read anyway, so it doesn't matter, so it'll be, so this way we'll be way ahead of when the changes, come through. So we've got 3 weeks, it's, again, it's automatic turned off. Automatically. If you have documents saved any place, if you're using .loop and you saved your documents, you need to get rid of them. I have no access to it. If you're using DocuSign and you saved your own templates, you gotta get rid of it. I don't have access to those things. I can only change the one that's in our market center. And if you go directly to the forms, to the state forms, then they'll be automatic, right? You need one of each, and this is a whole packet. It was a whole packet.
I think this.
Maybe a grab of room.
I think I printed it all out.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Last one.
Packet. A bunch of response. I think you just put the top one. Yeah, that goes underneath. Okay, I think that's what it was. Morning. Okay, so start from here, take one of each, and then this is gonna take the whole packet, not one. And make sure you sign in. All right, so if you save documents anywhere, get rid of them. If they're a DocuSign or .loop or whatever you did, if you save them, get rid of it. I cannot change your custom folders. And try not to do that. You might think it saves time, but it really doesn't. You get used to seeing these things out there. You get used to going out to straight to our section where we save the forms. So in DocuSign, we save them and we categorize them. So it says purchase, rent, sale, listing, they're categorized. You don't have to guess. But if you go straight out to, if you're in DocuSign and you go straight out to Florida Realtor forms, you're gonna have to figure out what goes with what form. So that might be a problem. What? I thought we had more on this. Yes, you're right. All right. All right, ready? Let's go get started. So this is the one that you're writing on if you want. I'll be referring to the draft. This isn't mine. Find some color. Some have a color version of something.
No.
It was on the top.
Oh,
The old one or the new one?
the new one.
The
That's yours though, right? It's okay.
this one. The new one in black.
Oh, okay, good, thanks.
No.
No, you can sit there.
Where's the sign-in sheet?
Sign-in sheet is here. Not everyone signed in, I'm still missing people. And Lily, you'll start from here, take one of each, and then this entire packet. So one of each in the packet. All right.
So let it be one in black.
Oh,
Did you sign that?
I don't know where I put mine.
Anybody miss it?
Someone got it, thanks.
Here's the sign.
I misplaced it. All right, so if you're looking at, this is the old one, and we're gonna go over the new ones. Now you have the new one, you have the old one, whatever you wanna write notes on, I don't care. And I'm quickly gonna go over the stuff we already know. We've got some good experienced people in here, so they can make comments and stuff, so this will be fun. I think contracts are fun. I see something new every time, that's why I do this. Okay, so this is the FAR bar. This is the as-is contract. The other one is, doesn't say as-is on top, and it's different on page 2, but it has the same changes on it. So the changes are applied to 2 contracts, but we're gonna go over the as-is because that's the one you're most familiar with. Okay, so here's the easy part, seller's name and the buyer's name. Any questions? You know, we laugh, but you know, buyer's names.
Buyer's names are difficult. You gotta find out if
You
it's a
gotta-
trust,
Yeah, you gotta ask.
and you gotta have the page number of where it was
You gotta
recorded.
have everything, so don't take it so lightly. It may not be sitting in front of you, but we're not gonna go over exceptions, right? We're gonna go over what's done 90% of the time. If I go over the other 10%, trusts and all those things, we'll be here till Thursday.
No, I know,
So-
but just
so
to
we can't,
leave
so-
it, no, I know, but just leave it out there that they should
Just
look at it.
Leave it, yeah, because we just can't.
No, I know that.
I can't even address it.
That's too
Same as the
crazy.
seller. You don't know the seller, put seller of record. I don't care. But get everything from the tax roll. Don't go by an agent's MLS, get it from the tax roll. All right, property description. So nothing's changed. You need the correct address. They want to know the county. They want to know the tax ID or property ID. I like calling that a house's social security number is the property ID number. There's a lot of information in that tax ID number. One day we'll just do a class on taxes and things. That's a lot of information. And the legal description, copy and paste from tax roll,
Right.
not from the agent's MLS. We're a little sloppy, so don't copy our mistakes. So cut and paste. Okay, so let's get to the meat. So it says in here that, so real property, right? Real property is the legal description and the contents that are going with it. That's the real property. So section C and D and E all go together. It's defining what is conveying from seller to buyer. One of each, go across one of each, and the last one is a package. That's why they're kind of sideways. So the real property is the legal description, and it tells you right there, and I will be referring to line numbers on the side. So like if you talk to me with a questionnaire, ask me, tell me the line number. Don't say paragraph B section, I don't care. Give me the line number when you're talking to me about a question. It's the only way we're looking at the same thing. Okay, so let's go to line 12. So it says the property defined as a legal description with all existing improvements and fixtures, including built-in appliances, built-in furnishings, and attached wall-to-wall carpeting and flooring, unless excluded in section E, which is 25. So it's already telling you that everything is going with it, right?
Right.
So, but then it says, then it wants to define personal property, because there's real property and personal property. Make sense?
Yeah.
So if you don't have a tax ID, it's not real property. So that would be a double wide, a trailer, tent, cemetery plot, a timeshare. Those aren't real property. We can't sell those. So there's no legal description and no property ID. It's not real property. Now let's talk about personal property, because here's the beginning of the changes. So line 15, unless excluded underneath, or by any other terms of this contract, the following items which are owned by seller and exist on the property as of the date the initial offer, so you gotta be careful, are included in the purchase. So they have range, oven, refrigerator, dishwasher, disposal, ceiling fan. They took out intercom. 20 years late, but it's up. Put cell phone. Light fixtures, drapery rods and drapery blinds, window treatments, smoke detectors, garage door openers. And here's what they added. Thermostats. You know those real fancy digital thermostats that people
Yeah.
put in? They have to stay unless excluded in E. So be careful with that. If you're a listing agent and you see that really nice digital control by my phone thing, you need to ask if they're letting, if it's staying. Listing agents need to be more careful. So now we have to ask, because technically, like the Ring doorbell, just lift it up, right? Well, now it's included. So you have to ask. Listing agents need to check all these things. Because if the listing agent is wrong, you're gonna make a mistake. Oh, okay. Hold on, everyone. One of each, starting from here, and then the entire packet. So you need more room. One of each. There's a lot of changes.
Hey, Dolores,
Yes?
could you kindly scroll up on the screen? I think it's just showing up to line item like 19 for the Zoomers.
Thanks.
Thank you.
There we go. Okay. I have to get used to watching that one. Zoomers. Okay, so intercom, thermostats, doorbells, that's the Ring doorbell. Stays, so you need to ask as a listing agent. Television wall mounts and television mounting hardware are included now. You need to ask. See, the buyer's agent needs to be aware of what's there. The listing agent needs to know what conveys. Don't assume it. So this is all changed on us now. Security gate, mailbox keys, finally. Storm shutters and storm protection items and hardware. So the metal could be there. Okay, I bought a house. All the metal things are there. There's about 40 different metal things. There's no hardware. In fact, there's no mounts. They just left a bunch of metal in my garage that's now going on Craigslist if I put windows in. But they're like, here's your hurricane shutters. No holes around the windows, no slide, no bars, nothing. Brilliant. What do I stick these on? Brilliant. So now it's on here. All right. Other personal items included in this purchase. What's still missing?
Washer, dryer.
Washer and dryer.
And microwave.
Microwave. Water heater.
I mean, yeah.
Where's the water heater? So. So Sharon, you're gonna be in charge of this thing here now.
Did she say?
Yeah.
I thought water heater was part of the fixture, part of the.
Doesn't matter.
It's like an AC.
Some people could disconnect it.
They could disconnect it.
Shoot.
Yeah, you just want to be sure it's there. Microwave. Washer dryer is easily taken out, so, but, so listing agent, make sure you know what's going, buyer's agent, make sure you put them in there. And if they're fancy things like high-end, like Sub-Zero and those, you need to mark those in there as a listing agent because it doesn't say they can't be replaced. Right? Like I can walk in and see this nice Sub-Zero, gorgeous $20,000 fridge, and I come back and there's, you know, a white rusty fridge. They got off a Craigslist. Okay, it's happened. Divorces happens all the time.
Is anything that you can compare with the MLS, the listing agent, describe there like TVs or microwaves or washer and dryer? Is
You
something?
can't go by the MLS.
Okay.
Don't go by the MLS. Because if they added something that's not there, or if they didn't add something, you're stuck with it, right? Because you can't say as per MLS. Can I change the MLS? The MLS is not contractual. It has nothing to do with a contract. The MLS is an advertising marketing tool. They're advertising the property and agreeing to pay you something. That's all it is. You can't say as per MLS because it's not a contract. So don't do that. Don't do that. We all know what else MLS is. All right, so are we good? Fridge, fridge. See, the fridge is on here, but that could be unplugged and moved. So
The washer and dryer.
washer, dryer,
Microwave.
microwave, water heater. Those are the only things I would add in if I needed. Everything's negotiable, so be careful. And then on line 25, personal property is included in the purchase price and has no contributory value and should be left for the buyer. So if you add furniture or anything, you can't put a price on it. So be careful. if the furniture goes, you can't put a price. You would have to have a separate agreement between buyer and seller, and that would be a bill of sale. We don't sell furniture, we can't charge commission. So if they include it, it's free. Gotta be careful.
So you put the note that the furniture is included here, but it's
Has no
zeros of value, but then on the
And then you
side.
can put see inventory or see attachment, or you can include an exhibit. You can say see exhibit 1 and have all that on there. But you can't have a value on it. That's the problem with it. Otherwise you need a bill of sale.
Dolores,
Yes.
when it comes to furniture and somebody's doing like a VA loan and FHA loan, if the furniture is included per the MLS, wouldn't it be best not to put it on there? Because sometimes the underwriter gets funky and says, okay, I'm gonna add a value to this, so I'm gonna adjust the sale price.
Okay, that's
You ever had that
yeah.
happen to you?
It says it has no value. So if you get,
Yep.
you know, someone who's off the grid or something and decides it has a value, I can't, you know. If it's important to the buyer and they want that furniture listed, you have to include it. Now, if the appraiser comes, I don't think the appraiser looks at furniture.
They do. I got asked on a big deal like this.
Mhm.
Yes, I thought of
But it wasn't FHA.
No.
Okay,
Okay.
FHA and VA would be different, right?
Different.
Because
But
if
couldn't
it's
you
conventional, they can negotiate all they want.
But couldn't you put a list of furniture and like a bill of sale with $1 and be done with it?
Yeah, you could. Yeah,
Just
but
so you would get-
FHA and VA, again, that's a completely different beast. That's why he brought that up. Yeah. Because you can get a rogue appraiser that goes to 100,000. It's FHA, there's not $100,000 worth of furniture. So,
You don't know these guys.
yeah, never know.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, good. Purchase price. The only thing that changed on purchase price collection. What is collection?
At the top, check subject to
Purchase
collection.
price. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
subject to collection.
They spell it wrong or do they want it off? It's all capped. That's what they're saying.
Yeah,
That's
they
all they
took it
did.
off, they took off the caps. That's all they did. Okay.
Oh, my God.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Okay, and then on escrow agents, let's see, they took off the word information, so we don't have to worry about that. And they took off this bottom piece. Email and phone. So don't worry about that.
So you don't need email.
You don't need it anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. They took all that off.
Why do
Don't
they do
care.
that?
Huh?
It's weird.
I don't know. Okay, and then for new people that are in here, when you put these, don't leave things blank. So when you're doing a contract, don't leave anything blank. Right, put something in. So if the purchase price is 500,000 and 10,000 went into escrow, and the escrow is either with the offer or it will be done within a certain amount of days after acceptance or effective. So whenever it says if left blank, don't put the number in.
Yeah.
Because somebody else will. So put the number in. So anytime you see if left blank, put it in. If it's the same, put in the same, like 3. If not, put something in. Don't leave it blank. Escrow information name. So here's my offer. Here's what's in escrow. You could put additional deposit in if left blank, then 10. So you can put 10 or something else after effective date.
If you don't put an additional escrow in, do you have to
Zero.
put a 0? And
Don't
then
leave anything
can you
blank.
leave that blank where it says 10 days?
Well, you're not adding
Because it's
anything.
0.
So it's 0, but you can put
Okay.
NA or 0, but
Okay.
don't leave the blank things in there. And then what's the loan amount? So did they change? Didn't change anything. So my opinion as your broker, do not put in loan to value or percentages for the loan, for the financing. Put in an amount. If they're getting a loan for 80%, right, of 500,000, what's their loan? 400. So then you're gonna put their financing is 400,000. Right? Because we're basing it on these numbers, so don't put a percentage in there. Because we can be held to it. We can be held to anything, but we just want to be clear. So as a buyer's agent, you want to make this offer as strong as possible, right? Because you're giving it to another agent who's gonna interpret it or misinterpret it and present it to their seller. So we need to help that agent present our case. I'm getting a loan, I am gonna get 80-20 financing, they're gonna have, their loan is 400,000. That means down here, all these numbers will add up to the 500,000. So 500, and then this was 10,000, I said, and 400, that means balance to close 90,000. So the numbers add up. All these numbers, including the zero, should add up to this. So don't be lazy and put in 80-20, 80%, don't do that. And it's also hard for me to support it in the event we have to go back and you know, argue this for whatever reason. Just put in clear numbers. Did everybody sign it? I'll get fired.
I'm sorry, where's it something?
I'm just joking. In Zoom land. Is Chevelle on Zoom? Yeah. Chevelle, could you write down all the names of who's in Zoom for us?
Okay, I will.
Yeah, that way we can give them credit in the training tracker.
Yes, all 28 of us
28.
Oh, wow. And growing.
Well, this classroom is full. I mean, like, oh.
One more.
Yeah, 2 more seats, but there, we have tables. I can put another table.
Guys, make sure you grab a donut. Sean brought you guys all donuts.
She brought 3 donuts
I
for
noticed
each
that.
person, because there's like 40 donuts out there.
Someone can have mine. I'm gluten-free.
If you need coffee, we have coffee too, which we don't normally have in here, but there's a bag of coffee pods floating around. All right. So, and then in E, down here, they took out the word collected. Nope, they just lowercase.
Lowercase it.
Lowercase. That's it.
So what's the difference?
I don't know. Who knows?
The way it looks.
Who knows? Not right, I don't know. And then also notice at the bottom, the very, very bottom, where it has the name, the version of the contract, right? So if you're looking at this one, look, it says it was revised, it was created in 2017. It was revised 2019, right? And it's the as is 5. So the new one says, I can't read it.
No, the other one.
They took off the number.
Yeah.
But they did put 2021.
Yeah.
So it does say 2021.
Is
Fine.
there a way to get a clean copy of this yet?
No, because these are drafts. It's a draft.
They put 1021 and then 2021.
Yeah. It's hard to read how they crossed that.
Yeah, it's hard to read.
Okay. Closing. So on closing date, it took a whole. Okay, so this has changed, right? So that's important. Now it says closing. This is so hard to understand. The closing of this transaction shall occur when all funds required, this is new, when all funds required for closing are received by closing agent and collected pursuant to standard S. Wow.
And closing documents.
When
required.
all funds required, so when it's funded, so they changed it. Just here, it just has closing documents. And on the new one, it says, when all funds required for closing are received by closing agent and collected pursuant to standard S, unless modified by other provisions in this contract, the closing shall occur on, and then the date. So now they're saying it has to be funded before you can actually close. So no keys, right? If it's not funded, no keys. Try not to put a close date of a Friday.
Correct.
Try not to do Fridays. And worst dates are any day before a holiday. Don't even do last day of the month. Don't even do that. So try to go 5 days before the end of the month. Tuesdays and Wednesdays are the best days for closing. Title companies are bored. And if you're working with an investor, close a week before the end of the month and as early in the morning as possible. If you're working with an investor, as early in the morning as possible, because they need to go to work, and every day that house is off the market costs them money. So just be careful with those. Don't close on Fridays. Don't close a day before a holiday. Try to close a week before the end of the month. And the worst day to close would be December 31st.
Oh,
It's like the worst day to close. All investors want to close before December 31st. Yeah.
You said working with investors, you said which.
Close 9 o'clock in the morning. You have control, right? You're not order takers. The title company works for you. And when you're working with an investor, you want to explain that. Right?
And you said 1 week before the end of the month.
Yeah, if you like the 30th was last Thursday, right?
Mhm.
Would have been much better if you closed on Monday,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
Not the last day, because everybody's swamped on the last day of the month.
Oh.
Everybody rushes on the last day. So do yourself a favor and close before that. Mhm. Yeah,
3 days before a holiday.
if you can't, right? Because if they, so I always say like 3 days or a week, because if you go off a day, it's okay. But like Thanksgiving is a Thursday. If you close on Wednesday and you go off a day, you're not closing till the following Monday. Because the
And half
banks
the
are
time-
open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
And half the time they give them off half the day on Wednesday.
They
so-
barely work anyway.
Right,
Yeah,
so
you're
it's
right.
like,
My apologies to all bankers.
bankers working Friday after the Thanksgiving. The banks is open.
They're open, but
Yeah.
our title companies and stuff,
Yeah,
don't do
probably
it,
not.
don't do it.
Okay.
Yeah, so try to close Monday or the Friday before, because if they're off a day, it's okay. But if they're off a day the other way, then everything starts going crazy. So just be careful with that. Okay. Closing real quick. Where's the offer? I missed the offer thing. Time of acceptance. Is it not here? Time of acceptance.
Yeah.
Nothing changed. Okay, nothing changed.
Effective day.
So let me just mention, time of acceptance has 2 sections to it. There is acceptance, the date that the offer should be accepted by, and then the effective date. So be careful with that. Now, if this clearly says, if not signed by buyer and seller, and a copy delivered, right? Not DocuSign, delivered to all parties on or before this date. This offer shall deem withdrawn, and the deposit, if any, which most of you haven't even collected because you put that 3-day thing in, shall be returned to the buyer. Unless otherwise stated, time for acceptance of any counter offers shall be within 2 days after the day the counter offer is delivered. If I put October 1st here and we're negotiating, we're counter offering, we have 2 days after October 1st. You don't have to change this. It says you have time for acceptance of counter offer shall be within 2 days after the day the counter offer was delivered. We're buying time as we're countering. You don't need to change this date.
And it must be delivered on the 1st, not.
The effective date is when the offer and everything is signed, when buyer and seller and an executed offer is delivered to all parties. So be careful with that. Right? If you sent me something and I DocuSigned it, which I could guys send me stuff all day long that I DocuSign. Do you think I have a copy of it? No.
Not unless they respond and said they received it.
Don't assume that because I signed it, I have a copy. I don't. So you have to verify it with the person you're working with. Do not assume it.
And verified in writing, right?
I send an email and say, congratulations, the offer has been accepted, everything is signed. Do you need me to send you a copy? Or I'll just say, a courtesy copy is attached. Look, it's one email.
Mhm.
You guys aren't that busy. You're making a gazillion dollars off of these closings. Except in Century Village.
Thank you.
So don't make assumptions and take your time and slow down. Because you want to do what's right for your buyer, right? Or yourself. So make sure you do it. Okay. Closing date. we did. Extension of closing date. They crossed out this up until here, this is all crossed out, right? And now it says in the event. I guess it's easier for you, because we're going over the draft one, right? Because we're just looking at this one, okay. In the event, closing date, sorry. Closing date. Everything's, unless all that stuff on closing date's crossed out. The closing of this transaction shall occur when all funds required for closing are received by closing agent and collected pursuant to S. So. Wait, this is 4. Oh, that's the
We
closing
already-
date, I'm sorry, we're on this one, yeah, we already did that, extension, okay, that's where you crossed it out. So they crossed out if paragraph 8B. So in the event closing funds from buyers, lenders are not available on closing date due to Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, closing disclosure delivery requirements, CFPB. So if paragraph 8B is checked, loan approval has been obtained and lender's underwriting is complete. Okay. Then closing date shall be extended for such period necessary to satisfy CFPB requirements. And then you have an extension, and it used to say 10 days, now it says not to exceed 7 days. So what they're saying is, everything is ready for closing. But we have that 3-day cooling off CFPB requirement, which could extend it up to 7 days, and you do not need a document. So this has nothing to do with the buyer not being ready or the seller not being ready. This is the title company has everything, but we have to wait for CFPB requirements to be met. Only the title company can tell you that, or your closing agent. It's not you asking for it. This is only for the Consumer Protection Plan requirements. They can extend the close date up to 7 days only.
Dolores,
Yes.
how often does that happen?
I don't have any numbers on that, but I mean, have I seen it happen? Yeah. Because it's only been out for about 5 or 6 years, so I've seen it happen.
Right. I was just curious if there were certain circumstances that triggered it.
Oh, yes. The underwriter is the
It's
one,
the underwriter.
the one.
Well, no, this was already closed. This was already sent and delivered. Closing documents are already done.
When you send the final closing disclosure, by law, you have to wait 3 days.
That's the 3-day thing. And it could be over a weekend, and so 10 days was ridiculous, right? Everyone's gonna wait 10 days. So they changed it to 7 days, because even if you had a 4-day weekend, you could still have your 3 days on there,
Mhm.
right? So they did it for 7 days. So that would cover worst case. That's all they did,
7 days from when?
From the day
from
that,
the day you were supposed to close.
Oh,
So they say we're clear to close,
and you send the,
but we have to wait.
Hi,
So-
Sultan. It's Katya. Yeah, we see it quite often, actually. So,
see
yeah,
it?
it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
But you don't-
Cassini comes so late many times. So, but usually we do an addendum because nobody really kind of pays attention to that. So,
You can do the addendum,
right.
But be careful with the addendum, because the addendum changes the contract date, and then none of this would match that. So if you do an addendum of 7 days and they say they need 7 days, you just extended it by 7 days.
I mean, sometimes we just do the 3 days of whenever we think, or they say
Okay,
they will have
yeah.
the 3-day period is over.
Yeah, just be careful with the addendums,
mhm.
because it kind of disqualifies what they're saying here. So
Mhm.
remember, any
Okay.
addendum disqualifies what's in the contract, so we have to be careful with that. But as
Mhm.
buyer's agents, and I know we're covering ourselves because not everyone is as knowledgeable as agents out there, trying to be nice about this. And they might get upset because their sellers are upset with them, but it's already in the contract.
So basically, you just verbally going back and forth saying,
The closing agent is talking to everybody. We shouldn't, I mean, I would call the other agent and say, hey, did you hear, did they call you? We can't close until Tuesday. And they're like, yeah, but whatever, we should be okay. But if they start arguing with me, that's when we have a problem. So that's why when concierge does it, they put it in writing, because they're covering like any problems with the other agent.
when you say put it in writing,
They do
email?
an addendum. Concierge does an addendum
Oh,
to cover everybody, yeah, which is great. Just want to be careful we're not extending anything.
Mhm.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Katja. What else do we need on here? That's it. Occupancy and possession. See, there's nothing to fill in here, so we're just kind of going over the changes. Unless paragraph 6B is checked, which means there's a tenant in there, so they just took out the box in. Just took it out. So, what's really interesting is the blue stuff is stuff that's already, that they were going to change and they're already changing it. So you're getting the actual changes, we were going to change, the not going, so kind of everything is in here. So they crossed out the box in. So we don't need this. They did add C rider T, pre-closing occupancy by the buyer. Ooh. Oh, I never thought about that. The buyer is now a tenant. So in 6A, it's about occupancy and possession. So they put in here, if the buyer is going to move in earlier, they are now a tenant and they have to have a pre-occupancy rider. Oh. Okay.
That's standard, isn't it?
Yeah, they're just making sure you have the addendum, yeah. There must be something in there now, because that's one of the changed ones. Okay. B is if there's a tenant that plans on staying in the property after closing. So it says in here, if there's a tenant in there, subject to lease or any occupancy agreements, including seasonal and short-term vacation rentals. So, because they wouldn't have a full lease probably, they may not, but they added that in. Seasonal and short-term rental is now a new addendum. So they're just including those people. I do like what they added in line 90. They added standard D, except that tenant estoppel letter shall not be required on seasonal or short-term rentals. So an estoppel is required, a tenant estoppel is required if there's a tenant in there that plans on staying afterwards. Actually, we do tenant estoppels no matter what, if there's a tenant in there, whether they're staying or not. You guys know what a tenant estoppel is? So, you know what an estoppel is? What's an estoppel?
But you request to the HOA what is pending from the seller.
Yeah.
Stop a letter from
It's-
someone request. They would pay that.
Right, so the estoppel is the financial obligations or anything that could be, that's implicated, that could end up in a financial from, typically from the condo or homeowner association. So let's say I racked up a bunch of fines. My neighbor across the street parks on the street, so she gets $20 a day fines. So when she leaves, They're gonna,
Mira, Carmen, she no
they're
faz
gonna
it.
throw those fines out there. So when she sells her house, and they're gonna get an estoppel letter, which is a financial,
Wishful thinking there.
I don't know who that is.
So I'm a picnic and kill me.
Thanks, Sean. Sean's gonna be the, short statement, isn't it? Short. Short. It's okay, I'm sitting, so, yeah. An estoppel, so let's say my neighbor across the street sells her place. The closing agent will send an estoppel letter, right, that's what they call it. I call it stop payment letter, but it's an estoppel letter. That says what does, in order to move these people out, what do they owe you? Or, and then what are the payments? And it's a whole bunch of information, like whatever all the dues are, and hi, the rep, I don't know where there's a seat left.
It's okay.
There's one right here,
Oh, thank you so much.
right there. So the estoppel letter will list everything about the association. These are our monthly dues. This is what we collected. This is how much they owe. This is what they still need to do. Maybe they need to pressure wash their driveway. So they'll tell you everything in that estoppel letter, and those things need to be done in order for the closing agent to close. So the tenant estoppel, the landlord and the tenant will both get an estoppel letter. So we send in the closing agent, not us, sends a document to the landlord or the current owner, the person who's selling, because they have a tenant in there, and said, what did you collect? Where's the lease? What's outstanding and what are you holding? Let's say they collected first, last, and security. So last and security is still there, right? So they have to turn that over at closing. It gets taken out of their proceeds. So they get that letter. And then the tenant gets the same letter. What did you pay? Where's your lease? What do you owe? Do you think those two letters match?
Nope. No.
Because the landlord's saying, I don't have anything. I have no money to turn over. They didn't pay me last time security. No, I don't know. And then tenant goes, I paid 3 months for last month. So 3 months I paid security. I paid this. He owes me this because I thought the carpet's clean. So their letter could be different. So that's why we have both sides. So that's important because the tenant will have a different story, right? There's 3 sides to every story. So that's why they have a tenant estoppel letter. So there's a tenant in there. So this is so much for you guys to remember. I know, so I say write it down, write it down, write it down. If there's a tenant in the unit when you show it, write yourself a note. I write it on the MLS sheet because when I show properties, I have my MLS sheet. I'm old school, I'm writing everything on there. I write everything on there because there's no way I can remember what I did yesterday, let alone what somebody else's house looks like. No way I remember. So I just write everything down. So if I see a tenant in there, I want to know who the tenant is. Is it family? Is it month to month? Is it an annual lease? Will they be out on time? Can you evict them if they're not? I want to know everything about that tenant. You have every right to ask those things. Because when I write the offer, I need to put that information in here, right?
Hey, it's Katya again. We had some closing agents and they had said like, oh, we don't provide tenant estoppel letters, that it's really between the buyer and the seller and so forth. So you as an agent, I think just need to
Well,
be,
it's on here. It's on
so,
here now about the tenant estoppel.
Right.
letter. It's on
So-
here, and it's not the agent, it's the
Right.
title company.
okay. So we can tell the title company.
And
Yeah,
I
we
don't
have-
have a problem with my own. If I'm the listing agent, I'm doing everything, right? But most listing agents don't even know who lives in the place.
Right.
So.
Well, I get that information up front when you're taking.
Exactly. That's why I said when I'm watching through the house, I can tell if there's a tenant in there. First of all, they won't let me in. So, but yeah, and I just go straight to the title company, so I don't have a problem with that, but okay, so Katja, it is right in here. In line 64, 84 on, sorry. If the closing is going to be rented or occupied by third parties beyond closing, the facts and terms, there is your estoppel. Thereof shall be disclosed in writing by seller to buyer and copies. So everything is on here. So the other agent can't squawk. So we got to be careful with that. And again, buyer's agents. If you don't bring it up, it's not going to happen. You don't know if someone lives in there. Don't think the house will be vacant when your buyer closes. We talk about caveat emptor all during your training, when you're getting your license. And the day you get your license, you forgot what that meant. It's buyer beware, right?
Yeah.
You are that buyer's agent. You are the eyes and the ears and the thought process, and the team behind you is here to help you with your buyer. That's why we're doing these classes. Because it's so much easier to understand that, like I just said, the other agent said, yes, I checked the box, everybody executed it, you will do these things. Right? Okay.
Let me just clear this up.
We can put those up here if you stack them on this one. Or you can stack. Okay. Assignability.
I love your read. Oh, thank you.
All they added on here on assignability, all they did was say, and I think this is good. Hold on. It's redundant, Joe. It's kind of redundant. If no box is checked, then buyer may not assign this contract. That's why I say don't leave things blank. You guys are writing, who writes the offer? Buyer, buy side or sell side?
Buy side.
So whose mistake would this be?
Buyer's agent.
You, just point at yourself. I didn't do it.
These are the new
So for you, they
changes.
put an extra line in.
This is the regular contract.
For you, the buyer's agent. If no box is checked, then buyer may not assign this contract. Okay, what's an assignable contract? Anybody out there, what's an assignable contract?
It's when somebody is, in some respects, they want to put it into a trust,
Yes,
or if their wife is not there or husband's not there. But then some people will use it when they, like an investor wants to flip something, then that's an open scenario where he can turn around, purchase it for a lower amount and within an hour, or assign it right ahead
you
of
assign
time.
it.
And he never even puts money in the bank,
So what he's assigning is the buy side on
right,
page 1.
with all the
So-
terms and conditions,
So Richard Heinel is the buyer,
right?
and he puts in here, I'm gonna assign it, and he sells it to his son for an extra 100,000. So
Right.
that's how we roll, right? So
Not myself.
not your sons.
Good
But you can assign it. So the options are buyer may assign and be released from any obligation on this contract, which is worst case.
Never do that.
Worst case. So as a listing agent, don't accept it. As a buyer's agent, don't fill it in. The second one is okay, that he can assign it, but is not released from liability. So I can put my wife's name in, or my wife. I can put another person's name in with me, because maybe okay, so I'll put my sister. So I'm buying it right now, but somewhere along the line, I'm gonna add my sister to to the deed. It's fine, that's fine. But I'm not losing, I'm still responsible for this, right? So, I'm not released from liability. I may not be. And then the last one is you just can't assign. So it's saying if no box is checked now, then can't assign. Kind of cool. Okay,
The next one's interesting.
yeah.
They took out everything.
They took out
Oh, wow.
They took out the whole thing. All it says is buyer will pay cash for the purchase. No, now it says, they took out the whole thing. All right, cash. All they have in there now.
This is
A cash transaction with no financing contingency. Drop the mic. That's it.
You know why they're doing that?
People were changing it
Yeah.
left and right. Yeah. So
They're saying they're paying cash, they don't, and then
they get financed.
And
And
they
there's
get
nothing we can do. Yeah. It's still gonna happen,
but it's.
but there is no but on here. It's just, it's cash.
Yeah.
They took it all out.
This is so cool. Cash, that's it. No contingencies. Now, what contingencies are you waiving? That if it's a cash buyer, you might want to do an addendum for.
Appraisal.
Appraisal, right? Appraisal. Yeah. Insurance maybe, depending on where it is. Yeah. So there are, they're just telling you, there's no contingencies, no appraisal, no nothing. You're waiving everything when you say cash. And where does that cash have to be?
The bank,
In a bank where?
in the United
In the
States.
United States. In that person's name, the person on the front, not their parents, not their siblings, in their name. That's it, that's cash, and you want proof of it. Your bank account, come on, show me the money. That's it,
So when they do cash,
don't be afraid to ask either.
so when they do cash, they're saying they don't need to get it appraised.
No,
No, they can't, you need
By
an
putting
appraisal
it
at
them
them.
down. Okay.
Yes, they can get it appraised, totally up to them. But now you have to be careful that you ask that question. Right?
Okay.
Okay, again, if it's Century Village, I don't need an appraisal.
Cars cost more.
Right? Put it in my American Express card. I don't need an
hey, listen,
appraisal.
the prices are going up.
I know, but it's still not the same as, you know,
No.
I'm not so that worried. Okay, so that's kind of cool about the cash thing. Second box. This is so convoluted.
It's really crazy.
I don't understand what they did. So if you look at finances, right? This one from here down. They wanted to be sure that we fill this out because apparently agents don't do it right. This contract is contingent upon within, if left blank. See, they changed the whole thing. They went straight to if left blank, then 30 days after effective date or loan approval period. So they clarified loan approval period. Wow. Okay, so that's in there. Buyer obtaining approval of. No, it's not. They put within if left blank 30 days after effective date.
So is it saying this contract is contingent upon if left blank?
Well, it says 30 days. If left blank, then 30 days. The contract is contingent upon within 30 days after effective date, buyer obtaining approval of, and then they name the loan. So I like the way they did it. You've got to get this done, and then it says what loan you're getting. So conventional, FHA, VA, or other. Or other, describe mortgage loan for purchase of the property. Okay, so they just flipped it, that the loan approval period.
They just move it.
They moved it to the, yeah, they moved it before the FHA, yeah, they moved it over. It should be first, because people seem to skip this. Now, so I'm gonna throw this out to everyone. The loan approval period, what does that mean to you?
When the lender lets you know that the approval, that the buyer has been approved with conditions. The loan has been approved.
Well, they,
Commitment letter.
No, the
No.
pre-approval letter, right?
That's the
no,
commitment.
no,
letter.
it says it's, the new one has to change, that they're getting this type of a loan of a FHA, VA, other mortgage loan for the purchase of the property. That wasn't there before. So now they're saying you've got 30 days if left blank. So what did I say at the beginning?
Fill it in.
Don't
leave it
leave
blank.
blank.
But your 30 days can't exceed the close date.
Right.
So if someone says you need to close in 3 weeks, you better have something in here to protect your buyer, right? You can't, if they say they want to close in 3 weeks, you can't say I'm going to get a commitment in 30 days. What have you just done to his deposit?
Lost it.
Lost it. Lost it. So you need to be very careful. I'm telling you, slow down. Slow down with these things and start putting the pieces together. If somebody mentions anything under 30 days, you need to be aware of it. right?
There are agents that want to get an approval in 10 days, which is ridiculous.
I had that happen. I had someone write, they left the 30 days in there, but they had to close within 10 or 15 days, so we didn't close. We couldn't, didn't get the approval. Well, we didn't get the approval and you continue on, it's as if you did get the approval because you didn't get a denial, we lost the $20,000. Can't even argue it.
Wait, so the pre-approval letter is nothing
That's
to
nothing
do
to
with
do with
with
this.
it.
This is an
No.
actual approval of the loan.
But the lenders are telling you that that's truly not a true approval until the closing date because. they
Well,
can
there's
default.
more, but
Okay.
wait, there's more. No, it's the actual loan.
Right.
Oh, so once
So
we
they're
get it, they
they're
need to go back
clarifying
to
loan.
their
That's what all
lender and
documents
they have to get back to their lender. and
When they
actually
submit
say
all,
that they
no.
found the property and
Okay, we send the contract to the lender. Who gets a copy of these contracts?
the lender and the title.
Wait, start from the beginning. Who gets a copy of an executed contract?
Buyer, seller,
Buyer,
agent.
sellers,
title,
agents, title,
And
Needed.
then the
Attorney,
lender.
if they have. one.
attorney, if they, any closing agent, lender. So that's why these things have to be so clear, right? Because you've got like about 6 different appraiser, you got about 6 different eyes looking at this minimum. And if you put things like 76% loan financing in here, which I've seen, I'm like, I gotta calculate 76%. So many people are looking at it. And you know, when you put things in here like honor before, and I know Mimi and I do this, you're probably trained to put honor before a closing date. Whatever date you put in there, they don't even read the honor before, because we can't all be floating around with dates. So typically, they go by the date that you put like after honor
You
before.
gotta click on something.
And then, if you can close earlier,
You have to do it again.
do it again, yeah, because they don't see the honor before.
No.
If I put October 31st, I put honor before October 31st. All these 6 people, all they see, October 31st. They can't be floating around, they have lots of stuff they have to do. If you can close earlier, fine, you just let everybody know, I wanna close earlier, but you don't have to put it in there, because it doesn't matter. Everyone's happy if you can close early, so maybe the seller.
So the contract is given to, all right, the lender.
Everyone gets it, so the lender has it, he knows how much time he has,
Okay.
he knows, and they typically wait till the last minute anyway, because everybody's in line before you. And that's where the delays start happening, because they haven't even looked at it in 20 days, it's like, oh, I've gotta get this one done, and it's like, you know, that's where the problem is.
So
or
what do
something
you-
is
what do you-
missing for the package and the processor is not taking it.
Yeah.
They
So
have
they just
all the
move on and
documents.
move on and move
So
on, and
what-
they make one phone call and keep going.
So what, we get another acknowledgement from the lender that the loan has been, the
You
loan
need to talk to your lender every week,
every week.
until the last week, every other day. You're supposed to be talking to everybody all the time. See, concierge, it's like, how often you call every week?
Yes,
Yeah.
and definitely towards the end more often,
Agent,
for sure.
agent, title, but they call everyone all the time, just, are you doing it? Are we up
Worst
to
case
date?
scenario is your HOA.
HOA, yep, you gotta check on these things all the time. This is, you know, you're sailing that boat, you're the captain. You gotta make sure everyone is there. Otherwise, everything is derailed. It's like, you know, it's all about you, because we're all getting paid, right? So you can't say, well, you're supposed to do, no, I'm getting paid too. Right?
Is that synonymous with the DU for the lender?
Well, that's what they do.
That's what they do.
Right, so
That's
what
their
I'm saying,
stuff.
so if someone has like, I see sometimes on the MLS, you know, like some people say, okay, you have to have a loan commitment or a DU, actually
I
having a
just want
D.
more proof. It doesn't mean
Oh.
anything.
It's not
Okay.
loan approved if the
There's-
property is
yeah.
fine, so the only thing they can have is the loan approval, that's it.
So it's better, so if I get an approval from, you know, underwriting, okay, it's only approval up until, I mean, there's no house or anything yet, right? So it's not really telling me anything. But it's just a little better than a pre-approval letter, which is better than a pre-qual, which is better than, hey, look at my credit score, I'm good.
Look at my
Look.
income.
Dolores,
Means
you
nothing.
want to mention something about the 5 days? That's important, I find. But
It's
some
not on
people-
there.
It's there.
Wait, did I
It
miss it?
says buyer will make
91.
mortgage application within left bank. You should really put if it's on a weekend, 7.
Where do you see that?
And
Line
88?
Number 111, or I'm sorry, 112.
112?
And 112? Yeah, we didn't.
I'm not there yet. Oh, I'm not there yet.
Okay.
Oh, I was
Yeah,
wondering, like,
wow.
I didn't get there
I
yet.
thought you were there.
No, yeah, I'm on 109, the top of the second page,
Oh,
yeah.
God, that's-
Anytime less than the close date. So if they need 30 days to be approved, make sure your close date is after the, like, a week is good, right? 5 days after the close.
No, you gotta get, you got the approval, you still gotta go through the
Until the condition.
conditions sometimes.
So 10 days? So I left at 30, then my closing would be 45 days.
Definitely keep it
Okay.
at 45 if you wanna be safe.
Yeah,
So 45 days?
15 days.
If
after
it's
the loan approval.
financing, and especially if it's FHA.
So you
Okay,
have,
so
yeah.
15 days after the loan approval date. So loan approval is 30 and it's FHA or VA or something funky, then you need another 15 days to close out the conditions.
so,
Every loan is a conditional approval, right? Every
Right.
one of them is a conditional approval.
so you have, all right, so if you have an effective date, they have, say the first, just to make it simple.
Goes the other way around. You start with the 30, 45, then you do your close date. That would, because that's,
30, 40, that 5.
you gotta make sure, so whatever your effective date is, you've gotta have 45 days if that's what you're doing. Effective date, you need 45 days if it's the circumstances we're talking about FHA.
And
Okay.
remember, it's calendar days.
Okay, so,
If they change.
so
Okay.
everything is delivered 30 days, within 30 days, their loan has to be
Conditionally approved. It has to be
conditionally
approved
approved, and you're saying 15 days after that
is the close date.
is a close date.
Because the conditions, so conditions could be, they have to supply something from IRS. If they do this, we can go to close. So I'm approved if I do these conditions.
So when you have your close date of, around where it has to be closed, you're taking into consideration the 30 plus 15, so you,
Yeah, so be careful. And with a close date, before I even write this offer, I've already spoken to the lender how many times? Right, to the loan officer, I've already spoken to him at least 5 times. 1, do I even know you? 2, you know these people, and then we're looking for houses, I'll send you. And then I'll ask them, I say, oh, we found a house, how much time do we need to get approved and to close? I'll ask the lender, I'm not making it up. Right, because if it doesn't happen, I'm like, well, I didn't do that. And if he does tell me something that sounds fishy, oh, I can close in 10 days, really. So that's a conversation with me and the lender.
so the inspection
We're
is
not there
done-
yet. Everything is done in this is the loan is the important thing.
Okay,
So if it's FHA, we're saying 45 days now. Okay,
Hey Dolores?
Yeah.
If the loan commitment date fall on a Saturday or Sunday, do we have till Monday?
Yes.
Yeah.
oh,
At
yes.
5 o'clock.
Yeah. Oh, wait,
Okay,
you took out the 5 o'clock.
They did?
yeah,
It just says that they,
Oh, okay.
So what is
Okay,
that
yeah, yeah.
defined as legally that day? Would that
Midnight.
expire? Okay.
actually, it's a business day, right? 'Cause- but they're giving you that, because we were getting confused with end of business day, 5 o'clock, midnight, the terms weren't matching anymore, so they fixed some stuff in here. All right, there's a lot of changes here, so let's move on. Okay, that's what you were talking about. Okay, so the top of the next page. So it talks about a term of 30-year financing. And this is what they added. And 2, so the first thing, and 2, buyer's mortgage broker or lender having received an appraisal or alternate valuation of the property satisfactory to the lender. We've never had that in there before. We've never had words about appraisals in there. It was just understood that if it didn't appraise, that we had a problem. But now they're saying, first you gotta be approved in well, they're saying one, there's one. And we have 30 years of left blank, 30-year financing, and buyer's mortgage broker or lender having received an appraisal or alternative valuation of the property satisfactory to the lender. If either is required by the lender, which is sufficient to meet the terms required for lender to provide financing for buyer and proceed to closing appraisal. So
So.
whatever they need to make sure, and this is the first time we've never had this.
So the
Because
buyer
now
has
it's such
to,
a difference between the appraisal and the value, the sale price.
And some lenders don't have to do an appraisal, they'll do a valuation, like in a subdivision where every house looks the same, you don't need to do a full blown appraisal, you can do a valuation. So, so they're saying, but they actually put it in here now, that it is subject to the appraisal or whatever they deem necessary to provide a value to the property. So this is new.
so then they order the appraisal, they go ahead and order.
They
the-
always have. It's just never been in writing.
Oh,
Hey, Dolores?
Yeah.
So with that new wording, kind of getting back to the conversation that you and I just had the other night. So then do you still recommend using the appraisal addendum or like adding the additional verbiage like on page 11 that the home must appraise at least the purchase price?
Well, you don't need to say that the home needs to appraise anymore because this already says it needs to appraise.
Because that's what it's saying. Yeah. Okay. I was just double checking. That's what it seems. So
Yeah.
then do we need that appraisal addendum?
The
also?
appraisal addendum is only for cash purchases.
Ah, okay.
Because now, see, the appraisal addendum is in here now for financing. Right
Perfect.
here, this is what this is. This is the appraisal, contingency.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought.
More appraisal.
Only if it's cash.
Only.
We don't need it because it's spelled, we're not even finished this section, but it's spelled out, that it has to appraise.
Got it all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love that they actually have the word appraisal because people are saying, well, the appraisal has nothing to do with the contingency. Okay, let's go back to real estate 101.
Yeah.
The appraisal has everything to do with the contingency, but they spelled it out because people were arguing. Okay. Okay, buyer will make mortgage application for financing within, if left blank, then 5 days of effective date. But wait, there's more. And use good faith and diligent effort to obtain approval of a loan, meeting the financing and appraisal terms of this paragraph above. Within the loan approval period and thereafter, blah, 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 there's more about appraisals. Okay, so they have to make the application within 5 days. I know I have deals falling apart because they can prove, was it your deal? They can prove that they didn't do the loan app?
I
Within-
use it all the time.
Yeah.
If I'm having a client, I always, have you got your, I call and find out if the lender has it or
If the
hasn't.
lender has it.
But I do that when I'm the listing agent, because I'm gonna nail them for the money.
Exactly. Did you hear that? So if I'm a listing agent, and you bring me the buyer, and I call your loan officer on the 6th day, and you gave me a nice $20,000 deposit. I call the loan officer and let you, they haven't made the application yet. Yank, I get that 20,000.
And I let the lender know up front because
It's his fault.
It's his fault.
Yeah.
But I call and tell them, listen, you know that we have a 5 day in here.
Yeah.
And I will hold you to it.
There's so many dates along the way. Again, I'll give credit to concierge. They actually have like a sheet, and they have all the dates on there. They know exactly a sheet or whatever. It's not paper, but they have all the dates. They know exactly when everything is due, like 5 days, 7 days, 30 days, 50 days. They have all, and you need to have that. So for yourself, you can make up your own little form and put all the dates in and just make sure that they're checked along the way.
If I'm having a buyer and I know it's a weekend, I'm
Yeah.
telling that
I
just add 2 more days to it.
Yeah. A lot of work. Here they added on line 1, 18, buyer's failure to use good faith and diligent effort to obtain the loan during the loan period and stuff, that's okay. And then line 121, and paying for appraisal and other fees and charges. So this is so strange. And I've seen people back out for things like this. They go through the whole thing and then buyers get cold feet. Sometime between inspection and HOA, they get cold feet. Everybody's in their head. Oh, the inspection, you shouldn't buy the house and blah, 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 wait for the prices. So everybody's in their head and they're just like so nervous about this purchase. And so they won't pay for the appraisal. Well, if they don't pay for the appraisal, they're now in default. They put it on here that the appraisal and the fees have to be paid.
I love it.
Because if they don't do it, they're up.
So they're paying the appraisal to the lender.
They're saying they have to pay for everything, added it in here.
Shoot.
Buyer, you better do this in good faith. You need to, they're spelling it out. Don't use that as a way to back out. They're spelling it out. So when you're sitting down, when you're writing an offer with a buyer, and you have this 12-page contract, it looks like 20 pages, but it's because of all the extra stuff. But it's a 12-page contract. How much of it do you review with your buyers when you're writing the offer? I have to go to my season. How much of it how much time do you spend with your buyer going over this? Crickets? 5 minutes, 10 minutes? Sign here, initial here, initial,
Yeah, not even
For
that.
me, it's depend on the buyer.
Depends on the buyer.
Some buyers, they are sharp, they get it, they know, so you can do it like 15 minutes, 20 minutes conversation. It's okay because you have to explain it. But some buyers not, so you have to go over all the pages and take time.
I'm glad you're here, because you're the only person in the Calvo group that's here.
I'm sorry. And they are.
I'm glad you're
so-
here. Yeah,
I would have said a couple of hours, however long that person needs. If they're not seasoned in legal documents, yeah. I would be very careful with them to explain because that's in our good faith as their agent.
so how long does a listing presentation take? When you're sitting down with a seller, how much time do you spend with them to get that listing?
About an hour.
About an hour? How much time should you spend when you're listing your buyer?
An hour or more.
An hour or more?
More than that, yeah.
Yeah, and now that it's changed so much,
You should bring
right?
them.
I think now even if they're seasoned, go over it with them because of these extra words, right?
Crazy.
Now even more, I would go over it with them. Because now they're putting so much, they made it so clear for the buyer now, the buyer can't weasel out and say, well, they will. You didn't tell me, right? You didn't tell me, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, no one told me, you know, that's your buyers, right? So I think now more than, because if you look at this page, it's like half of the page is redone. And it's all about financing. Right? So, so yeah, I want you to spend more time with this. So, all right, so they have to pay for the appraisal, for any other fees and charges in connection with buyer's application for financing. And then 123, buyer shall, and they added this, upon written request, keep seller and broker fully informed about the status of buyer's mortgage application and appraisal and loan approval. They added all that in.
Wow.
How many times have we heard appraisal in this contract?
Yeah.
Which was never there before, including any property related conditions of loan approval. Buyer authorizes mortgage broker, lender, closing agent to disclose such status and progress and release preliminary and finally executed closing disclosures and settlement statements as appropriate and allowed to seller and broker. So this is on the buyer, but you can't leave them alone. You can't say, well, I told you you're supposed to tell me. No, you're supposed to call them and ask them, right? So you just can't leave them alone. This next section is completely new. 129, if within the loan approval period, buyer obtains loan approval, it's all new. Buyer shall notify seller of same in writing prior to expiration of the loan approval period. How does the buyer notify seller?
Through their agent.
Through their agents. So you've got to tell the buyer, you got it, when you get that loan approval, right? Let me know as soon as you get it. But you've also got to have that conversation with the loan officer in case the buyer works 9 to 5 and doesn't have time for this. So you've got to make sure that that's done. And then it says, if buyer is unable, this is all new, if buyer is unable to obtain loan approval within loan approval period, but buyer is satisfied with buyer's ability to obtain loan approval and proceed to closing, buyer shall deliver written notice to seller confirming same prior to the expiration of the loan approval period. So everything has to be done within that 30 days if you're saying that's the 30-day loan approval period. So either the buyer says, I got it, or the buyer says, I wasn't approved, but I can get it, which removes contingencies.
Yeah.
So be careful with that. Because now there's no way to back out. In those 30 days, that's what this is saying. So if the buyer says, I got turned down for the loan, but I'll get another lender, or I can get a cosigner, or I win lottery, oh, I gotta get some tickets today.
Oh, yes.
Because I wouldn't play if it was just 50 million, it's gotta be.
600 and something.
Are you kidding me? I didn't pay
Yeah, it's
attention.
like
All right, that was a squirrel.
Oh.
Or there's another way that I can get this money, so I wanna proceed. They can proceed, but they've lost any ability to back out at this point. Okay,
All has to be done within the 30 days.
within the 30 days. Okay,
I don't get it.
good.
Sorry.
Okay, I have 30 days to get an approval.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay.
You get the loan for most of the time, you get it with conditions.
That's okay.
So if the buyer cannot
Perform.
one of those conditions, those 30 days already gone.
Yeah.
So now what?
He might need 2 more days or
He might
5
need
more
more
days,
time.
and
You
you
have
know,
to
so we
ask.
can get it. And
So we will need to request an
So
extension of the loan commitment period.
you gotta talk,
That-
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know the, that form that, for extension?
Yes.
When you ask for an extension, make sure you know why you're asking for the extension. It might be for inspection or the loan. Make sure you check the other boxes after the extension box. Okay. Yeah, or he can just continue.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so 133,
But if he continues,
he lost everything.
he could lose his deposit.
Yeah. It's up to him.
Okay. Those agents requested 15 loan commitment. I think this new contract is wrong because the
Oh, yeah.
appraisal will have to. the
November
appraisal has
1st.
to-
The
And
appraisal
Dolores?
is good, yeah.
Is there a way to discontinue so you can save the buyer's deposit and agree with the seller agent somehow to continue just to look for another lender?
Get an extension of the approval period.
Okay, the loan commitment?
Yes,
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's perfect.
yeah. So there's a sheet that asks for an extension and it's got a whole bunch of boxes. The first one is just, I need an extension of the close date. And underneath, you can check boxes about what the extension is for. It could be inspection, it could be loan commitment or approval. So make sure you check those boxes. Because if
Okay.
not, you're just extending the close date and not the approval date.
Okay, so you could just extend just the loan commitment date itself.
Well, you need the close date to be extended too.
Okay, got
And you gotta look at your days. You might have room, you may not, but that's a discussion with you and your buyer and the loan officer as to how much time they need and what it's for. I'm always nervous with anything that has to do with IRS
Okay.
because they're not even answering the phone. So it's really hard to get information. So I'm very nervous with IRS.
Where can the Zoomers get this copy to see?
It was emailed to everyone. Oh,
Not everybody signed up through them.
we'll go on break at 10:30. And did you get it? Did anyone get an email to them?
I got one.
You got an email?
I got an email with it.
I get it?
You want me to email you?
Email it to me. Yeah, that's it.
Dolores,
I
you can
didn't-
send-
Oh,
I
Chevelle,
didn't-
Chevelle's here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
I
here. You
didn't
can
get an email. Chevelle.
Okay. Please send it to me.
Someone send it to Chevelle. Yeah, she'll put it in the chat.
Oh.
She can put it in the chat and then everyone can download it.
You want me to?
Can-
No.
No, I'm looking at that.
Maybe email it to Chevelle, yeah. That would help. Everyone.
Chevelle@w.com.
Oh, you think I remember?
Chevelle@jw.com. It was so easy.
75, what can I tell you?
You look great.
Yeah, we're gonna break it in 5 minutes. Okay. Where are we? If buyer obtains loan approval, he shall notify. Okay, 133. If buyer is unable to obtain a loan approval, and this is what they had it, within the loan approval period, or cannot timely meet the terms of the loan approval, right? So this is the conditional part, okay. After the exercise of good faith and diligent effort, crossed out, buyer may. I sent it to her. Crossed out. It's all crossed out. Buyer may terminate the contract. Whoa. Wow.
Approval. It's getting crazy.
Buyer may terminate the contract. It's not even on here.
But then they send the
Goes down to
140,
line 139.
Wow.
140. By delivering writing notice of termination.
Yeah, it's completely changed. It's completely changed. All right, so here's how it reads. If buyer is unable to obtain loan approval within the loan approval period, or cannot timely meet the terms of the loan approval, all after the exercise of good faith and diligent effort, buyer may terminate the contract.
Wow.
There's nothing else there. Wow. And then, wow.
By delivering written notice.
By delivering written notice of termination to seller prior to expiration of the loan approval period, whereupon provided by buyer is not in default under the terms of this contract, buyer shall be refunded the deposit, thereby releasing buyer and seller from all further obligation under this contract. Wow.
Yeah. And it's getting scary.
Well, at
So
least
now, Dolores, some agents are asking, they want the denial letter from the
I
lender.
totally agree. Yeah, absolutely. If the buyer is being turned down, I want a letter of denial for the loan. Absolutely. Absolutely.
What is that important for?
To get their deposit back.
Yeah.
Could it be like a proof that they didn't
It's
get it?
proof that they were turned down. Now, we all play games with that denial letter, so be careful with this now. Careful.
Dolores, I have a question. This is Adriana, but that denial letter, it's like it only take place if it's between that amount of period of time, the 30 days. If it's after, it doesn't even matter, right?
No, this is all during the 30-day approval.
Correct.
So that's why you can't, the 10-day approval doesn't work. Because
Not even.
if the letter comes on day 11, it's no good. So
Right.
Very careful with that.
Not even 21.
Not even- yeah.
Because the advisor takes like a week to give a report back.
Yeah, you gotta be really careful with that, yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. And this is financing, right? So our problem has been with financing because we're holding that seller hostage by not delivering. Right? We're like asking for extension, and our buyers aren't performing. You know, like, oh, my loan officer kept asking me for the same thing over. Well, you didn't provide the right information. The loan officer just needs to make sure that you're gonna make your payments and you can afford this thing. So answer their phone calls and do what they ask you to do. You know, you guys have bought, how many of you have bought a house through financing? They ask you for a lot of paperwork. You don't say, well, I gave it to you, but it doesn't matter.
That's why I don't think you don't go into contract unless you've provided every piece of paper that they
Exactly.
want.
Yeah, this is not the time, you know, you're asking for 500,000, you're gonna do backflips. And get part of your kidney. And your firstborn, which they can have.
And you know, and people get very upset.
He's not, Justin? Oops. He's not on here, is he?
LOL.
I should have
You
been
did
more
the
careful.
dog too late.
You're bad. If he walks by, I'm in so much trouble.
Recorded, right?
Oh, stop it. Barely knows how to edit.
Uh-huh.
All right. Let's see, we got
But I
this.
have now I have a question, because when you put the inspection period, so you have the time frame
Oh, there's
for the
so many.
buyer to say, no, I don't want to proceed.
Yes.
And they can give this, I'm not approved
That's
for the
the
loan.
first 7 days, right?
So then you can say, you don't have to give any,
Not in the inspection
Okay.
period time.
okay.
There's so many timelines in here, and that's why we have to be so careful,
It's
right?
gonna take me 2-3 times to read this thing.
Oh, we're gonna do this every month. We're gonna do it every month.
I think so.
Okay, this is just to prepare that we know what's coming up. But we're gonna do it again in November and December, so don't worry. Okay, 144.
Yeah.
If buyer,
November. Isn't it November coming out?
November 1st, 3 weeks.
Yeah, my crazy, people who are with a certain company had no clue.
Oh, no, yeah, no one's looking at it yet. No one's looking at it. 144, if buyer fails to timely deliver any written notice provided above, I already said that, right?
No.
Okay, prior to expiration date of loan approval period, then buyer shall proceed forward. Oh, yeah, forward this contract. Oh, yes, okay. So if buyer fails to let us know, provided in the above, to seller prior to expiration of loan approval date, then buyer shall proceed forward with this contract as if, as though,
As.
as though paragraph 8A above has been checked as the effective date. Okay, what they're saying. The buyer didn't tell me that they were turned down.
Click on your Zoom.
The buyer, this was always in here, but not explained, right? So, the buyer didn't get the loan approval. And you didn't, for whatever reason, they didn't tell you. Then the contract proceeds as if they did. Which means if they back out for any reason now, they lose their deposit. So that's important for your buyer to know, right? If you don't tell me what's going on and we just keep on going past the loan approval period and you never told me that you were turned down, then if you back out now, we're losing your deposit.
So this part here, we're in 8B1, where you have like 5 days to get that.
That's
No, no.
application.
That's application.
That's just the application. It's not the approval. The approval is 30 days.
Okay.
It's from what I understood, where it says go paragraph 8A.
Yeah.
Isn't that the cash part?
No. Yes, as though 8A. Yes, it's as if it's cash, no contingencies.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why they just put cash, no contingencies.
Right.
So it's just like it's cash. If you can get the cash, fine, go play lotto, pay me, you're good. But if you don't let me know what's going on, no contingencies, we're done. We're done. Yeah, lose your money, bye. Okay, and then 147, this has always been there, so this isn't black, but this is important to you guys. So let's say that you didn't get the approval and we're moving forward. The seller may elect to terminate the contract by delivering written notice of termination to the buyer within 3 days after expiration of the loan approval period. So let's say you didn't get the approval, right? Let's say the approval was due last Wednesday. The seller has 3 days to back out after not receiving notice. So even if the buyer said, I want to continue, but we didn't do anything, the seller can back out. And that's always been there. That's not new, it's always been there. Thereby releasing buyer and seller from all further obligations under this contract. Yeah, that's always been there, but people didn't know it. So if I don't get an approval, my seller has to, I was a listing agent, I'm paying attention to those dates too. Because the the value of my property is going up, I can back out. I might have 3 other offers waiting for me. I can back out. So as a listing agent, I'm paying attention to this too. You were supposed to send me that approval last Wednesday. Oops, you know what? Gotta back up. See ya. But I do have to give you back your deposit.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not fighting over the deposit because I'm backing out. So it's all about listing side. So listing agents, beware of that. All right, let's do a, I don't know, 5-minute break. Did I need to get something? Oh, no, you guys are gonna email this, right?
I
Just
emailed
email
to
chat
Shabelle.
already? Okay.
Dolores, I already did.
Okay, great. You might just want to explain to everyone because it's in the chat,
Yes, I already did. And anyone that needs me to email it, I've already sent it to a bunch of people to their emails.
Yes, yes, yes.
5 minutes.
I'm being careful. I didn't realize. I came
It's
in
just
for
like so many dates and it's just very, it's, I don't know, I'm like stressed out from all these dates. I mean, I'm definitely using the transaction coordinates. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts.
It's,
One is maintenance and expenses, and then one
That's
is.
what he's looking at, just like, you know, what the rents are. Rent roll.
You want rent roll?
Yeah, that's the most.
Oh, you know what?
Hey, Dolores, this
When you
is
say rent
Jess.
roll, are you just saying? income?
Would you mind just kindly repeating what you were just saying?
5,000.
Yeah.
It seems as though that was like, there's a very rare opportunity where the seller can actually like back out of the contract.
That's always been here.
Okay.
So.
They'll go forever.
And what part are you pointing to?
Yeah, if loan approval was not obtained.
Okay.
It was due last Wednesday, and you didn't tell me one way or another. Right? You didn't
Oh,
tell
we
me
just
it was
didn't
approved.
notify.
Yeah, but this is only if it was, you didn't tell me that they was turned down. So if the buyer's lender is insufficient to meet the terms of the loan approval,
To the KW.
Right?
Okay.
and the buyer says, well, I can do it, I want to proceed as if it's cash. Your seller has 3 days to accept that or back out.
Oh, okay. Got it.
So like
Okay.
if the buyer's turned down and there's a commitment date, then your seller has 3 days after the commitment date to decide if he wants to continue with this buyer as if it's cash, no contingencies, or back out, return, and go on to another contract.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. And we rarely use this, and in fact, this is like such a powerful tool right there. And in an appreciating market, right? In a declining market, we want to hold on to the buyer with, every fiber of our body. But in this one, we want to throw these buyers out so quickly as a listing agent, that this is a really powerful tool.
So last night I was at Chipotle off of Lantana. And because I was just handing out flyers for this open house I'm doing. And there was a couple in front of me and we just started talking real estate.
Always.
And he knows you. He says, say hello. I want to say Devon, you used to work with him over at Kai's.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
He goes, say hello to
Can we get
Dolores.
back?
I just said, so are you ready to come back? Dolores will love this.
Get him in here. Give us information.
No, I don't have his information. No. He doesn't, he's been doing real estate since 2007, but he hasn't really been in it for a long
I don't know who
time.
it is.
And shoot, I forgot his name, but anyway.
Where's the coffee? There are a couple people were
There's no coffee? No coffee?
What was the first name, Sharon?
I forgot his first name. You're already
Chabelle's
looking.
on it. I'm down.
Sorry, guys, I'm quick.
Yes, you're on it, Chabelle. Good job. Hello, how are you? Good. Yeah. So I'm Sharon. Hi, Sharon. I saw that. Hey, Sharon. Yeah, we talked. I supposed to do
MRAULI.
Well, internet's been called, but I got in. I've already been in.
Gmail,
called, so I-
14,
I'm not early.
gmail.com.
And then I'm not good.
There's dance party. We did the Rolling
Yeah,
Stones.
okay, because I'm looking for, I don't recognize everyone.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
I'm
yeah.
new.
I missed
Good,
I missed the
good.
last 2 days because I.
Great.
Going on, but, yeah, I love it. 6:30, clubhouse, 8 o'clock, 8:30 script.
Are you going on Scripps Jedi?
Yeah.
Okay.
What is
So
that?
right after we get off the pivot call, go
Yeah.
to Scripps.
But we're on
Jedi.
scripts here.
I just sent it.
So I talked to Nate about it and I said, oh, this other one, he's gonna check it out.
Okay.
ScriptsJedi.org.
He's getting frustrated.
Did you get it?
I know, so get on this group, we're about 170 people in it, and
And then you just go into different rooms.
yeah, for about 20 minutes, we're like, the Script Jedi is like Chris Hurley, he goes over like what to say, what we're doing, and then he calls on certain people and goes to, feel that, and then go to
There's two attachments.
and then we come back.
Miss Dolores,
Yeah.
do you have the Wi-Fi password or is there one?
Yeah, so I told him. just-
No,
You don't have to come up with it.
Very confusing.
Yes, who is it, Dolores?
Wi-Fi password? Wi-Fi password?
Yeah, who needs it? I can text her.
Make sure you can how many minutes there are.
Dolores, I'm gonna text it to you. Are they in the classroom?
I have it, I have it, I have it, I have it.
Thank you so much.
This is crazy, this is crazy.
Let's see.
That's why I can't memorize it.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Scriptsjedi.club.
I was,
Yeah, that's it.
wasn't gonna come in because I thought they told me
Yeah,
there was
and then,
like nobody here and I came in.
I know.
Now I'm here.
Yeah, okay, so that's like, I already Google it, that's what I would.
You got, did you get the booster?
Just put it
I
in
have
your
just-
line, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
They made me get it right away.
I've
Good.
been saving for weeks.
Did you feel different?
Scripts in the chat.
You didn't get sick from it?
And I have a whole
Yeah, I did get
Oh, you did?
a crazy reaction third time.
They're really
Wow.
I had a,
and then
this
it's all
horrible
good.
metal
So it's
taste
like
that
all these
and
things.
itching around my
You
mouth.
must have hiding or calculating stuff, it's gross.
I don't know.
It's real estate conversation.
My, after hearing what happened to Dave Jones, it's like,
Okay,
now,
it's just like, I don't think of the right things.
my grandson always tells me it's danger city. Has it gone away?
It's like.
Pardon? Oh, yeah, it went away. Okay, just a
Took
couple
out
days.
for
Okay.
two, but I mean, emails.
You did- you
I don't have a
asked
choice.
people
I had to have it.
How they
No,
found
yeah,
out
for
about you,
sure.
like,
I
does
just-
anyone
I
say,
wanna
I
make
saw
sure.
your
Yeah,
card?
it's
Oh,
fine.
yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
They stung me and the lights.
Well, I have.
You are
And they-
I did a flu shot already. I think I got everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
good.
know what? We forget to put, yeah.
Yeah,
We
Ellen.
forget that word.
I think.
And the signs, and,
You can get a magnet.
That's what I
Get a
want.
magnet.
That's what I want.
And I.
That is so cool.
Oh, yeah,
So
on
I'm
the
on
lights,
road.
they start asking me, they take a picture of the phone number and they tell me. I did a Google. It's
Wow.
Yes.
Somehow I put myself up
That's
there.
good.
Oh, so you were up and they called
And I was motivated.
Oh, yeah, Ellen
I was
called
like,
me.
And I'm like, dude,
you have to put your hand. And they also was like, yeah, but he was trying to say, okay, we just want to do the big one first.
I am just quick.
Good. All right, let's get back.
They are, I love them.
And then.
All right, let's get back. We still have a lot to cover, but we'll be okay.
I'll send you that. That's hard.
Okay.
Is anyone not with Kendra Williams here? Yet. You're taking the test next week?
I'm taking it within the next month. I just, I got my approval, like yesterday, I'm about to take my grant. So hopefully within the next month I'll be.
Cool.
Awesome, look at you getting contracts.
That's really good.
Are you Kendra Williams?
Awesome.
Oh, you're gonna sign up. What's your name? Are you newly licensed or are you with a different company? Newly licensed? Let me give you this for now, and then I'll talk to you later. There you go.
Dolores, is that Renell?
Yep, yep,
Okay, I was just texting him.
yep, yep. All right, let's get back to it. Anyone, okay, I know everyone's name, well, I got you this, Brianna, right? Brianna? Yelena and Brianna, you can't sit together. God. Sean, Coach Sean, we should start saying Coach Sean.
Oh, come on now.
Right?
Greg,
Greg,
yes.
oh, Greg. Wait, do I know you? No.
Ish is friends.
Oh, where's Ish?
She's on the camera.
Okay.
I was talking to her.
I'm gonna need two screens, one just for the Zoom stuff and then one for the, I think we'll have to start doing that.
The
This
document.
is
In the
Lauren.
chats.
I met Lauren outside because
I'm
I'm
here.
Oh, another Katya. Hi, Ish.
Patricia.
Oh, I know you. Wait,
Yeah.
you're not with Calvo Group. Okay, no.
No.
Okay. Leopold?
Yes.
Oh, you're with the other
Access-
team. I
Access
know she's with the
Perfect.
team, see?
Access Perfect Home.
Access. I knew you were with the team because I know your name. We have another Leopold here.
Really?
Yeah. I can't remember his first name, but I just remember the last name.
Huh.
Yeah. No, okay, cool. Hey, everybody out there, come back.
No,
Well,
you
it's
miss
just Amy
it.
and Richard this time. Okay. They don't count. All right, so. What else is interesting here? So we did the thing about.
144.
The little back out period. That's always been there for the seller. We just don't, we're not careful with the dates. So.
I think they did all this because there's so many things happening with the lender part. As
Yeah.
a mortgage processor, I can tell you that nobody give you the right documents. They have overpriced.
It's frustrating.
Yes, it is.
It's frustrating, and everybody points at somebody else.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's why it's important for us to understand this. Okay, line 152. Buyer has
If.
timely provided written notice provided to blah, blah, blah. Okay. Okay, we're good on here. Again, it has appraisal on line 155. Property related conditions of the loan approval, specifically excluding appraisal valuation, so we're okay with this part. There's a couple new riders, okay, next. So, page, so these are closing fees, costs, whatever. Oh, I'm gonna love this section. I love this section. Because they only added one thing. Oh, that's all. There's something I don't think a lot of us notice, costs paid by seller, title searches, municipal lien searches are on here. People don't realize that the seller is responsible for these things. So we just have to be careful that it's checked, but yeah, they gotta pay those things. What they added in was charges for FERPA withholding and reporting. On the seller's cost to be paid for by the seller, right? So according to FERPA, both should be on notice if they don't have a social security. What is FERPA? Let me back up a second. What is FERPA?
Foreign buyer.
Foreign buyer. Yep. Yeah. You guys remember what FERPA stands for?
169.
Remember what FERPA, Foreign Investment in Real Property Tax Act. FERPA, Foreign Investment in Real Property Tax Act. FERPA. I love that. If I ever get another job, I'm calling it FERPA.
No.
I love that word.
What its nickname?
Would that start a conversation in real estate? What's your last name, FERPA? Are you a realtor? There you go. That or FISBO, but have twins, FISBO and FERPA.
I like FISBO.
FISBO sounds cool.
FISBO's cool. I know someone who did that.
Mm.
FERPA, what it stands for? FIRPTA, so Foreign Investment in Real Property Tax Act.
all about IRS getting their money. All about IRS. So if someone doesn't have an EIN number or a social security number, there's no way for us to report it to IRS. So IRS wouldn't get money on the sale of the proceeds. There's exclusions, there's all kinds of ways to get out of it and everything, but not get out of it, but to reduce your tax liability. But they have to be put on notice. So the seller, if the seller doesn't have either of those two numbers, then the closing agent will collect, is it 20% or 30%? I don't need to know because I'm not a closing agent. But the closing agent will collect the tax stuff and send it in, right? Send it to IRS. They will do it on an IRS form of some sort. Who knows? But if my buyer is also a foreigner, I want to let them know when they're buying that this will happen when they sell, if they still don't have social security or EIN number, some way to report it to IRS. So FERPA is important to both sides, but it's a closing cost for the seller if the seller is a foreigner. So they added that on. Line 188 about title evidence. So section C, other. Wait, let me go to other. See where these others are? I would like if you put our transaction fee there. I can't tell you what to do, but this is where I think it should be.
Yeah, that's where I put it.
Okay, so if you have the buy side or the sell side, what I would add in here, KW, regulatory compliance fee, and the amount. KW, regulatory, it's so fancy.
Set of transactions.
Yeah, I know it sounds so fancy. A regulatory transaction fee of $4.95.
In the other section.
Regulatory compliance fee, not,
Other.
yeah, not transaction. KW, regulatory compliance fee, $4.95 if that's what you're charging.
You have to say KW reserve.
You could, yeah, because it could be 2 KWs on there, so you could put KW reserve. And it doesn't have to say reserve Palm Beach, just KW reserve. There's only 2 KW reserves in the county, so just put KW reserve, regulatory compliance fee, $4.95. Yeah, because it could be KW Wellington or something. And if it's both sides, what if you have both sides? Can you have both sides of it?
Yep.
Yes.
People, if you have both sides, don't charge one and not the other. So be very careful with this, because you're gonna upset the other.
But sometimes if what we do is, if we sell their house and they're purchasing one, then we don't charge.
You waive it on the other one.
But in the same thing, if
Yeah.
it,
Get it on the first one.
if they bought something and we got it on the bought side, we don't do it on the sell.
Yeah, so just use some common sense with this. Don't make one free and the other one pay $4.95. If you have both sides, I don't care otherwise. All right, so you're good with that, right? Okay. And I also think it's important that you take the time to go over this with your buyers, because they don't know. And even if I don't care if they're seasoned or not, their circumstances could have changed and they're paying attention to it now. So go over these fees, because they're not part of the purchase price. Okay, title evidence. So title evidence and insurance, if left blank, then 15, if left blank, then 15 is checked.
And don't check, if you're making a fast closing, you gotta be careful.
I don't understand this.
Title evidence.
If left blank, then 15. Oh, or if cash is checked, then 5 days. God, I almost missed that. Okay. All right. Yeah. So title evidence, if left blank, 15, or if cash, remember this is cash, then 5 days prior to closing date. So you can close in 5 days then. There's no HOA, no condo, or anything, close in 5 days. And then on line 188, it said that it will be delivered 5 days or 15 days or whatever. the seller shall furnish a copy to the buyer and closing agent within 5 days after effective date. So they're just saying who gets it, that's all, not worried about that. 197. So you're supposed to check one, seller picks closing agent and pays for owner policy and charges. Or buyer, next box, picks closing agent and pays for owner's policy, or Miami-Dade. So which one would you pick? You've got the buyer, you're filling out the buy side, which one would you pick?
197. The seller
197?
shall designate.
Seller, you got the buyer? Okay.
How much more would the buyer have to
201.
pay?
Well, you
That's
have to
the
go
point.
Title 10, and so you would choose the buyer to go, you would have the buyer do it. so
You
that
want the
we
buyer to
have-
pick and pay for title insurance?
Well, if we can get Jacob, right, isn't that what you're telling us to do?
No, but yeah.
You can pick anyone you want, right? Whatever side you're on, this is a matter of control.
Right, so
Right?
Jacob will have
Title
control.
insurance is control. Right, because
Yeah.
that title company reports to you.
Yeah, those are.
So you want control. If it's your seller, you want your seller to pick it. So if you're giving me an offer and I have the listing and you put buyer, I'm like, well, it depends. If we're using the same title company, I'm okay with it. But if you're gonna pick a different title company, then no, I want control. As a listing agent, I want control. It's a matter of control. That's all it is. So you can pick anyone you want. I don't care.
But as a buyer, you gotta know how much they will pay if
They're
you
still gonna,
choose.
they're still paying for title if there's financing,
Yeah,
right? Because they have to pay for the financial, for the
Yeah.
copy for for the loan officer, the bank.
yeah.
So you still have to pay for title, no matter what, if you're a buyer. If it's financed, then you've got the buyer, you're still paying for title. So you might as well have control and pay for the whole thing. Yeah, yeah. But if you're the seller, then your buyer still has to, if there's financing, no matter who pays for title, there's financing, your buyer still has to provide
A lender's
the lender's policy. They're still paying for that policy. Which is some kind of a junk fee because the policy is already there, so I don't get that. But they have to be on there, right?
It's the policy has to be on there.
Yeah, because the lender has to be covered for title.
So,
Pick whoever you want. There's no rule.
so there's no added expense to,
Sure
Yeah,
there
there's a
is.
little bit of expense, yeah, but it's not a lot. It's not a lot.
they're only paying for the closing fee, whatever the title company charges.
No,
No, there's
No.
more than that.
no.
Are you talking about the buyer or the seller?
Anyone.
It's still more expensive for whoever picks for the title company, picks the title company,
Yeah. They
but it's
will
a
pay more.
control thing.
I know
Yeah,
it's a
for
control,
example.
but, yeah.
I want to put you an example with those silo houses they're
Oh.
selling now. It's something you want to explain to your buyer that it's gonna be a little bit more money, but it's gonna be peace of mind. It's just as a buyer, choose the title company.
Yes, don't use Zillow's title company.
For sure.
Please don't use Zillow's title.
Just do it.
Mhm.
I don't have any previous experience, but when I read those procedure, those rules and
Zillow has their own
regulations the
contract.
buyer have to
Mhm.
sign,
Mhm.
I sit with my buyer and explain to them what exactly those rules and regulations do to the contract.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because that says run.
Yeah. I like, if I have the buyer, I like having control.
And on top of that,
Peace of
especially
mind.
if you're doing a foreclosure,
Oh, my God. Yeah.
do not, whatever you do, you have to pay the title. Because in some days when it was really bad, I know some of you are not been in the business, they don't check for the water, they don't check for
have to.
anything. The outstanding water bill, some poor person in Jupiter wound up with a 8,000 ridiculous water bill. So always make sure and if they don't want to do it, you get a waiver. I advised you.
Okay.
Especially if they're paying cash too.
Oh, you get a
Well,
waiver
if there's
from.
cash,
the-
you gotta be really.
Oh, yeah, I advised you to get an attorney or choose a title company.
Yeah,
Mm.
choose title,
Title.
Just choose title.
It's cheaper.
choose title. You get a good deal, just, say whatever. Unless it's family or something, like if the other side, it's their family that owns the title company or works there, then it's okay because you know who it is, right? It's not like a strange person, just some person that does
But
title.
you don't have the risk that lose the deal
Where are
because
you
you
obtaining
are choosing the title and the seller don't want
need
that.
a waiver.
If you are the
Something
buyer,
in
say.
Yeah.
And when they present the offer, say, but the buyer wants their own.
Listen,
If you are presenting an offer and the buyer say, I want the title company, but the seller say, you know what, no, I
I'm
want
not
my.
losing the deal. I'll go with this, I'll go with them, I'm not gonna lose
That
it.
can be, they can
it's
say, or they
negotiate.
can throw it up, because if they have 20 offers,
Yeah, I'm not gonna lose a deal over it, it's not a deal breaker for me,
okay,
I try and that's all I can do.
okay.
Okay, I have to go over 214. There is no change to it. It's home warranty, there's no change, but you have to present it. You cannot just automatically, because you were taught to do so, put NA. It's a discussion. There is a class action suit going on in Florida right now, because attorneys found out that we were automatically putting NA and not giving the buyer an opportunity to pick it. You have to discuss it with your buyer.
And there's such a waste of money.
Home warranty, I love them. I've had my appliances. My house is 20 years old, my appliances go out on a regular basis. Yeah, AC, water heater, it's paid for itself 10 times.
It's a yearly cost?
Yeah, it's $500 a year,
Oh.
but,
So what do you want them to do? Acknowledge that you.
oh, you just don't fill it in automatically. Discuss it, that's it.
So you don't have to have them initial it or anything.
No,
Okay.
no. Okay, let's review special
Oh, they
assessments.
all did this wrong.
Special assessments at closing, seller shall pay the full amount of liens imposed by a public body. These special assessments are not HOA and condos. Please don't get this mixed up.
You know how many agents
Every
argue
agent.
with me over this?
Every
You
agent,
don't know what you're talking about. I go, did you not read it? It says not condominium.
right there. Hello. What's that, who's out there that knows my acronym? What is it? RDR,
Get on your computer.
RDR.
Realtors don't read.
That's it.
They don't.
Read. I have all my acronyms there, I'm gonna have to add that one up there too. This is pretty bad. All right,
So they took B completely out.
B, no, it's just changed. Seller, so B is the changed one. Seller shall pay in full prior, so you have to check a box. Prior to or at time of closing, any assessments allowed by the public body to be prepaid. For any assessments which the public body does not allow prepayment, option shall be deemed selected for such assessment. So these are not HOA. So new construction, be careful with assessments, like new subdivisions, be careful with assessments. City water, city sewer, roads, they're putting in a paved road. So those are signs that there's assessments. What else can be assessment? I think that's about it.
That's it. Well, in case if you're in the acreage, sometimes they were putting the roads in.
That's what I said, roads, yeah, yeah, if they're paving the road, something like
The new constructions, they have that CD thing that they.
new construction always has it, yeah. I have an exception, but I won't go over it. Okay.
Dolores, what's the easiest way for us to like confirm whether or not there are those assessments?
Your closing agent,
The title company?
And they're not, they're called non-ad valorem.
not ad valorem, yeah.
It's on the PAPA report.
You have, yeah, you can see it on there. It's in the tax roll, you can see it.
Okay.
It's
But
not-
your closing company, that's the first thing they do. They look for those.
They look for these special assessments?
Oh, yeah.
But you might want to look to see, just
You
in
can look
case.
yourself, yeah.
I always check it.
Yeah. But it's not our responsibility, because if we make a mistake, don't do it. Nothing else here, permits disclosure. All right, how many of you on page 11 put in there, permits need to be closed and paid for by the seller? Okay, better read this. It's not changed, it's always been there. Permit disclosure, permits are in 3 sections. So permit disclosure, except as may have been disclosed by seller to buyer in a written disclosure. What's a written disclosure?
It's your seller's.
Seller's disclosure. Says it right on here, seller's disclosure.
What line are you on? I'm sorry.
240.
So if they don't provide that in the seller's disclosure,
Then it says seller does not know of any improvements made to the property which were made without required permits or made pursuant to permits which have not been properly closed. So then it says, or otherwise disposed of pursuant to section 553 Florida statute. If seller identifies permits which have not been properly closed, who identifies those permits that are not closed?
Seller.
Title.
Title. Or improvements for which are not permitted. How about that garage that's enclosed?
Oh.
Then seller shall promptly deliver to the buyer all plans, written documentation, or other information in seller's possession, knowledge, or control. We provide that, their title company provides that, or should, relating to improvements to the property which are subject of such open permits or unpermitted improvements. So it's already in there.
but it doesn't say they're paying. for
That's
it.
in another section. This is just a disclosure. See, section 10 says disclosures. So these are just, it's not the action, it's the disclosure. So first, it's gonna get, it's, the disclosure part's there. So now, we'll get on to the payment part. So the disclosures, flood zone was, they just took out the last sentence. But these are all the disclosures. Now, look at line 2. Special assessment. 263, it looks like.
Energy.
Energy brochure.
Yeah.
Okay, it says buyer acknowledges receipt of the brochure.
Right.
How many of you give the buyer the brochure?
I didn't even know.
All
that
the
it
time.
says-
You gotta add it on. It says you gave it to them. They can sue us afterwards.
Where do you find that?
It's in with the contracts. It's there,
I mean,
it's an
in
attachment.
our DocuSign,
Yeah, it's
it's
in
part,
DocuSign.
it's part of this.
It's not part of it, it's a separate document. You just have to attach it and
Oh,
send it
okay.
to them.
Same
Or
thing
you can
with
just
like-
have a bunch of them handy and email it to them. They could sue us afterwards.
I make them initial it.
That's a good idea. A few people do, because I've seen them attached to the contracts in DocuSign, like you guys put them together. I've seen that also. But this says that they received it, they can come back in 5 years, like, you know, when you sold me that house and I'm paying like $500 a month for an FP&L bill, you didn't tell me about energy efficiency in this house. As it said that they got it.
Even
So be
for
careful.
like condos too, the condos.
But it doesn't matter. This says, if you're using this contract, it says you already gave it to them, they received it. And there's another disclosure, look, FERPTA.
Foreign investment in real estate.
Okay. All right, let's go to the next page to, I don't know, to 290, property maintenance, condition inspections and examinations. There's nothing changed on here, but what I do want to mention is on 295, it says property inspections and right to cancel. Two different things. So if they're not getting an inspection, don't put 0 in here because you've taken out their right to cancel. See, these are two different things. Property inspection and my right to cancel within 10 or 15 days, you've just removed it from them. You just took it as is and made it a real as is. If they want to not do an inspection, put it on page 11 that they waive the right to conduct an inspection by a licensed inspector. Just put it on page 11, but don't waive their right to cancel. Because it says here, Buyer shall have, if left blank, then 15 days after effective date, which we call inspection period, within which to have inspections, which they don't want to do. And buyer shall desire during the inspection period, if buyer determines in buyer's sole discretion that the property is not acceptable, buyer may terminate this contract. If you put 0, you took that out.
Dolores, you meant page 14 because of the updated version.
Well, on
That's-
this one it's 14, but on the real one, it's on 11. Yeah,
Mhm.
on the real one, it's all the lines on page 11. Yeah.
But it will be moved to the 14, right?
No, it's still, the numbers are the same.
No, but
Line
in 2 weeks,
No,
the contract. is gonna
No,
change.
the only reason this is 14 is because of all the red line.
I see, okay.
Yeah. No, it's still 12 pages. Walkthrough inspection. Oh, another thing on here, it says the seller, oh, I better find it.
What are you looking for? Closing out the building permit?
No, the part about leaving the utilities on.
It's here.
Okay, it's on here that the seller has to have utilities on for walkthrough. You don't need to add it on to page 11.
The walkthrough inspection or
It's someplace in
re-inspection,
here.
it's a 309.
309, walkthrough inspection on the day prior to closing or on closing day. Buyer's rep may perform a walkthrough and follow-up walkthrough if necessary,
Yeah.
inspection of the property, no, but it doesn't say, no, there's someplace where it says that it has to be on. We'll
Yeah,
find
I
it.
read it somewhere.
It's someplace in here, so you don't need to add it in. Seller assistance, there's part 2 of building permits. If buyer inspection of the property identifies open or needed building permits, then seller shall promptly deliver to buyer all plans, written documentation, or information in seller's possession, knowledge, or control relating to improvements of the property, which are subject, again, and shall promptly cooperate in good faith with buyer's efforts to obtain estimates of repairs or other work necessary to resolve permit issues.
And buyer shall be responsible for any and all repairs, improvements required by buyer's lender. That's the problem I have.
Wait, you just skipped a section. Seller's obligation to cooperate shall include seller's execution of necessary authorization, consents, or other documents necessary for the buyer to conduct inspections and estimates. So it's twofold, everybody has to perform. Seller shall not be required to expend or become obligated to expend any money.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay.
And buyer
So-
shall be responsible for any and all repairs and improvements required by the buyer's lender.
Where do you see that?
It's the last.
The last
sentence.
sentence.
All the
Sellers,
seller has to do is provide them with the documentation.
Okay, assignment of repair and treatment contracts, that's not permits.
Well,
That's
honey,
not permits.
that's
That's not
where it
permits.
gets confusing.
That's repairs. So only C, seller's assistant and cooperation in closing out of building permits. So only in there does it say that they have to cooperate and provide estimates. Seller's obligation to cooperate shall include seller's execution of necessary authorizations, consents, or other documents, which is release of permit to buyer to conduct, and this is about inspections though. Okay, that's not the one. There's one more. All right, we'll get there. Escrow agent, I'm not worried about. You guys do okay.
Section 314 does the same thing.
Well, this is what the buyer's inspector finds, right? That's not who pays it.
Hey, section C, it says seller assistant cooperation in closing out building permits.
Yeah.
But it says the seller shall promptly deliver all the plans and documentation, other information.
Whatever's needed,
That-
yeah, it says it.
But they then doesn't mean that it's paid.
I know. I know.
So that's why we put that sentence in there.
Hold on, there's another one.
No,
We'll get
it's
to it.
not.
There's one more.
I've looked at this kind of thing 3 times.
Yeah, we did, Johnny found it, that's why I'm reading it carefully. Okay, there's no other changes in the next few pages. just remembered something. Okay, so now on your pages, I'm on page 9.
What you looking
I know
for?
it's my paper card. Where are we?
What are you looking for?
The time and date, line number 466.
Number
There it is.
429.
There it is. Standards for real estate transactions. Okay, they changed something on there, but I can't tell what. Anyway. Survey. Where do you see that? What line?
466.
Section.
46, but that's not changed, is it?
Yes, there's things changed.
Time of the
Oh,
essence.
66. Time is of the essence in this contract. Calendar days, oh, they see, that's where they clarified it. Calendar days based on where the property is located shall be used in computing time periods. Other than time for acceptance and effective date as set forth in paragraph 3, any time periods provided for are dates or dates specified in this contract, whether pre-printed, handwritten, typewritten, or inserted, shall be shall end or occur on a Saturday, Sunday, which shall end or occur on a Saturday, Sunday, or national legal public holiday as defined in whatever, or a day on which a national legal public holiday is observed because it's fell on a Saturday or Sunday, shall extend to the next calendar day, which is not a Saturday, Sunday,
Oh
or
my
a day on
gosh.
which a national public holiday is observed.
Yep, because if it fell.
That's it. There's no 5 p.m.
Oh, gotcha.
There's nothing there.
Good.
So no Saturdays or Sundays is what they're saying, right?
Yeah,
Or
holiday.
a national
national
holiday,
holiday.
National
or
holiday.
the day that the holiday is observed. So if Christmas is on a Saturday, it's Friday. If Christmas is on a Sunday, it's Monday.
Do it fall on a Saturday or Sunday?
Okay, so if the holiday's on a Saturday, it's always the Friday. If a holiday is on a Sunday, it's always the Monday.
Oh, not a
But
Sunday.
Thanksgiving is always a Thursday. Your birthday is the same day every year, which is a national holiday. What other holidays?
Yeah.
New Year's Day. If
Veterans Day and all those things.
If
Thank you,
January
Dave.
1st is a Saturday, we observe it the day before. If January 1st is on a Sunday, we
Right,
observe it on
right,
Monday.
right.
So you really have to know your days.
So if it's
But
like,
the 5 o'clock is done.
so if it lands on a Saturday,
It's
it's
Friday.
still Monday.
It's Monday,
If it's Sunday, it's still Monday.
because we don't count Saturdays and Sundays.
Right.
What if it's Saturday? You count?
Concierge, you're gonna have a ball with this one.
I thought you said if it's Saturday.
But if it's Saturday, it falls
No,
on
we're
a
talking.
Friday.
No.
We're talking about just.
If it's a holiday, that's different. She's just saying,
No.
supposing my time, supposing I was supposed to do something, supposing inspection was due, the day of inspection is Saturday, then it's Monday.
Right.
I disagree because
Okay.
they say Saturday and Sunday the next day.
The next
So
day.
if it's Saturday,
It's Monday.
you can do Monday, no Friday.
No, that's
Well,
holidays.
okay.
Holidays is if it's Saturday, Sunday, it's the
Okay.
other days.
Okay,
But for everything else, if it falls on the weekend, it's the next day.
okay.
I hope you're thoroughly confused.
So why do they say shall extend to the next calendar
Okay.
day, which is
So,
not as,
because if it
Saturday.
landed on
If your inspection
Tuesday.
was due today,
Right.
we really have till Monday.
But
There's
Christmas
no
could
5
land-
o'clock, see that?
But Christmas could land on a Tuesday.
Well,
so
then
it
it's
would be the
Tuesday.
month- So the next day would be the day.
Yeah.
the next day, Wednesday would be the
That would
day.
be
Right.
Oh my goodness, Trish, you have to do a list.
Well, we're coming in November, December, right? Those are the
The big
danger
holidays.
periods, right?
Yeah.
Because we have Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year, so you really got to be careful.
And don't forget, some of the agents that use this kind of contract think it's calendar day. That it's not, it's,
It does say calendar.
I know, but they think.
Yeah,
it's the
they say
other
the
one.
next
think it's
calendar
business
day.
days.
Yeah.
It's not business days.
She's been
it's
doing it for
calendar
5-10
day.
years. I go, you do not read the
It's not,
contract.
because it used to, I won't confuse confuse you. I was gonna go into the 3 and 5 day thing, which used to be business. I'm not
Don't
doing it.
even go there. with
Not
it.
doing it. Not doing it. Oh, it's fun. Force
Only the
majeure.
fun
I just
thing
like
is,
this word.
when I started, it was a 2-page carbon contract.
Press hard.
Now what you got?
And wait one
Sign
more
your name
year.
and press hard.
Yeah.
Okay, force majeure, yay!
Yep.
This is so good that they fixed this. So, we'll go over it. Force majeure, acts of nature. Buyer or seller shall not be required to exercise or perform any right or obligation under the contract to be liable to whatever for damages. So in the event, and I'm on 478, caused or prevented by a force majeure event. Force majeure means hurricanes, flood, extreme weather, earthquakes, fires, and other acts of God, unusual transportation delays, wars, insurrections, civil unrest, or acts of terrorism. That's what they included. Government actions and mandates, government shutdowns, epidemics, or pandemics.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Literally,
Yes.
what is there?
After everything happened.
Okay, the force majeure, I'm at 482, I think. The force majeure event will be deemed to have begun on the first day the effect of the force majeure prevents performance, non-performance, or the availability of services, insurance, or required approval essential to closing. All time periods affected by the force majeure event, including close date, will be extended to a reasonable time up to 7 days after the force majeure event no longer prevents performance under this contract. Very clear.
Yeah, but after,
I should
in the pandemic, 7 days, what, after
Oh, it's
18
7 days.
months?
7 days
After.
after, it's reasonable.
Okay, but after the pandemic, you
But-
still,
But our businesses were open.
I'm laughing.
okay,
Our businesses were open.
Okay. They can know
What's that?
It's a contract that they've got.
If that God, don't tell.
I was with the woke stuff
Don't
going
bring
on
that
nowadays. I laughed at that one.
Closing documents.
What's a FinCEN GTO? Reporting obligation notice? Treasury.
It tells you in there. Vincent is financial crimes.
Oh my God.
It's always in there. Vincent is financial
Oh,
crimes.
okay.
So there's reporting obligations. The closing agent is required to comply with U.S. Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network or geographic targeting order. Then buyer shall provide closing agent with essential information, documentation, blah, blah, blah. So what they're saying is there's houses, like there's one on the market right now that's being seized in Loxahatchee because someone said, can you sell it? And I'm like, no, it's seizure. IRS seized, no. FBI,
Drug.
CIA, somebody seized it, like some
Drugs probably.
it was, I know it's drugs, but I can't remember the agency. So it's seized and it's up for auction. So in that case, they're saying you have to allow everyone the opportunity, and the title company and closing agents, you gotta give them time to finish whatever it is they gotta do. It's really all it's saying, that the buyer will comply. So if they were to buy that, then the buyer has to comply to make sure everything is done. That's all they're saying. So if you're buying a grow house, or if you're buying a meth lab house, you gotta give them time to fix whatever it is that's good. Don't laugh, it happens all the time.
yeah, and for San Lucy, yeah.
Wow. Didn't report St. Lucie. So just joking.
I sold my first house in Port San Lucie. What are you talking about? I'm proud to say that.
There was a while where people, because it was HOAs, when Port St. Lucie was still like just building. We used to joke about
When
it.
it was still the jungle.
Someone will go up there and say, you can see it glow at night. It was a grow house. Or the electric bill will go from 100 a month to like
To
2,000 a month.
10,000,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're like,
I wonder what's going on.
We're getting silly.
okay, escrow closing procedures, prorations and credits. Oh, please be careful with your taxes.
The changing collected
Yeah,
apps and all that.
contract is not recordable. Next page, page 11. Now I'm kind of just going through it.
Let's go by
1031.
lines, which wherever you are.
There's not much. If there was anything on here, I didn't bring it out. They're just correcting spelling and capitalization,
Okay.
like
They
collection, they
crossed
changed
out
to
everything on
lowercase.
19, and then they, what are they doing?
Oh, I know what they did here. Yeah, they crossed out everything. Okay, so. Okay, so the addendums.
They added more?
I don't know what, yeah, there's a bunch of new addendums.
What
Oh, wow.
page are you talking about?
I'm
What
on page 12.
line, what line?
Well, 12 is the
But
changed
they added them
version
again.
11.
and 11 on this one.
About, but I see changes in the contract, no recordable persons bound, no
Nothing special.
delivery, even,
We don't record anything, doesn't matter.
so the delivery neither, okay.
That must be for the closing agent.
Okay.
Not us, we're okay. Okay, so what did they change in here?
Everything.
So K and L was removed because it said reserved.
Right.
And I was replaced. Which we have. So where I had reserved here, it's been replaced. These two were deleted.
Okay.
And then they added on X, Y, Z,
J was also deleted.
J.
No,
No, it's still there.
it's there.
Go to the next page.
Oh, okay.
No, yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
It looks like everything's crossed out.
Okay,
Yeah.
Then on the bottom is where they.
so
Oh, I see
TUVWs.
down
They just
below.
want to make it more complicated.
No,
So
it was just the
this was
printing. They
replaced.
did the formatting
The
wrong.
BB, the CC, and the other. No, no, yeah.
TUVW, these were changed,
Like they just made their
TUVW
columns too
changed.
long.
and then they added ED and EE.
But in the back, they say the K and the L are still there.
Yeah, they left them there. So this is changed on page 11 of your contract. This is fine. These were all changed.
Okay.
And then they added a DD and an EE. And then you have your others.
What's the
Okay.
page disclosure?
In the page 13, is still the I, it's still there.
It's changed.
No, say it's here.
Yeah, this is.
It still says reserved, but Dolores said that it was
It's
replaced.
It's
but-
replaced. You're going over it, you'll see it.
Okay.
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 Well, here's a really important change. In here, they added 2 lines. I think they just wanted to make it go to the end, but they added lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Counter offer has been changed.
At the beginning.
Counter offer, where is it? Counter offer,
Remember when they talked about it, that if you hit the,
right here. Well, this counter offer on page 1 is for acceptance date. But here, they took this out, seller rejects buyer's offer. That's it. That's all we got now.
wait a minute.
No.
Counters buyers.
Seller counters
Seller
buyer's
counters.
offer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. This is completely out.
They took it all out.
And they put in seller
Sellers.
counters buyer's offer.
Mhm.
How important is that?
Oh,
Very important. Don't you want to get
Very
that offer
important.
back that says the seller, that the seller counters it?
yeah.
Yeah.
This is how, see, this didn't
That's how
make
it
sense before. Now rejects it doesn't make sense because if it's rejected, but that they're countering, that's important.
But that gives you so many.
So you
days.
send the offer and then and you're like, well, if you're gonna counter, please send that back to me. I want to see the initial that you counter.
Yeah.
I want to see the initial.
Okay, so.
Initial or check.
So if it's rejected, if it's
If
rejected,
it's
that,
rejected, it's rejected. It's not executed. It's
Right.
not signed.
That's fine.
It's not, so it's rejected. It's not signed.
but in the email, email, like
That's
the
fine.
missing,
Yeah,
just
but
let
this
us know. Okay,
tells me that it was presented
perfect,
and that he's countering.
okay.
That's it.
Dolores.
Yeah.
Do I need to ask the seller agent to provide that to me, like the contract back to me? Because they usually just send you an email stating that, hey, seller accept another contract. Since this is a new form now, do I have to see this in order to know that my contract didn't get accepted? Is that what
No,
you're
this
saying?
is only if it's countered.
Okay,
This is only if it's countered. If it's rejected, you just don't have it.
okay.
Okay.
On James Shaw this week, one realtor said she had a case where she's representing the seller, and one of the buyer's agent wanted proof that her offer was submitted to the seller. And so she's saying, she had to either reach out to the attorney or whatever to confirm that the seller did receive her offer. She wanted proof that that her offer was presented, and she said she's never experienced that where a buyer agent came back and said, I need proof that you did show my offer. So in the case of that, even though she responded by email, how would you deal with that situation?
Same thing happened with me. This is Ish. With my last buyer agent, couple of them oh, we don't believe you. This is Ish. So, so that's what I did. I checked off the seller rejected buyer's offer, and then I got his initials and sent it to every buyer's and because on the top line, all those clauses, extra money, whatever they put in, it look it shows that the seller seen it and seller had the initial. I think this is right now when you get multiple offer, that's the best option. When you send a rejected email, and with that, it's good to send that, because that's what I had to do on my 11 buyers agent. I have to send it to, because every single one, I don't believe you reviewed it. He reviewed it.
It's not there anymore.
This seller rejects buyer's offer is gone.
Oh, gosh.
See,
After all that,
Mhm.
November 1st, it's gone.
So then what are we gonna do now?
Just saying. All you can do is have the other agent send you an email. There's nothing you can do to prove that the buyer, that the other agent actually showed it. There's really not much you can do. You can ask to be present when they present the offer.
Oh, my God.
That's the old days.
You can ask to be there. It's still in our code of ethics. You can ask to be present when they present the offer.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yes, but what do you think the listing agent's gonna say?
No.
No,
Because you can't discuss.
and you can't discuss anything. You can only be there.
In the old days, we sat at the table.
We did it in the conference room.
We went to their houses and did it.
Yeah, so different. So
We didn't
different.
have all that stuff. Everybody
So,
sat on the, that's how we put it together.
Can you? You can ask for an email. That's about all you can do. There's really not much on the buy side you can do. There's not much you can do. The only thing you can do is document everything in a journal. Watch for when it closes. And then when it closes, it tells you who closed it and what the
For how
price
much
was. Then it's an ethics issue and might even be arbitration. If you had a buyer brokerage agreement, we could fight for the commission. So let's say Sean sells a house. It's $1 million. So what would my commission be on $1 million if it was 3%?
30,000.
30,000.
30,000, right? Okay. And then she says she presents our offer, but she doesn't. I can't prove it, right? But then I see it close for 900,000 and she has both sides, but my offer was $1 million. And I find out she has both sides when it closes.
But they can,
Would I arbitrate that?
but they
2
can,
seconds.
but they can say didn't like the time to the
I
closing.
don't care. I'm still. Her, she did something unethical. I don't care about the buyer and seller.
But how we can prove that was for,
You
they
mean-
don't present, I can say the seller
Well,
didn't.
that's the whole thing, because when we go into arbitration, she has to provide all the proof.
Okay.
Otherwise, she's paying me my $30,000.
Okay.
And how would she prove that?
It's not my problem.
am not.
Because
I don't have to prove
of.
that. She has to prove that she presented it, that they turned it down, she's gotta bring the sellers in. If she brings the sellers in as a witness and they found out that they lost $100,000 because she sold it for 900 to her person, go ahead, bring your sellers in and let them discuss that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that will come to light in the discovery process for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So so pay attention when you present an offer. If you suspect it wasn't presented, just wait for it to close. You'll get all the information. Even if it wasn't presented, if they picked somebody else's over yours and you know you had the highest offer and it was cash and it was all these other things, just pay attention. In MLS, can you set the MLS up so that it notifies a buyer of a change to properties or what's available? Yeah. Well, set yourself up.
Yes.
At the minute that one closes, it tells you.
I didn't know that.
Put yourself in there.
Does it become harder to know if your offer was above the price? Like say, for example, if Sean sold it for $1 million and then, or your listing price was 900,000, but instead of 900,000, yours was at 100 or 1.1. Does that make sense?
I have the offer, right?
Yeah.
Right? And I can see I can look in the tax roll and in MLS to see what she closed for. I got everything I need. She has to, I don't know why I'm pointing to you. Yeah, because I would never do that.
Real world
She has to
examples.
make- She's on the spot.
Okay.
Yeah, I have that going on right now.
Mhm.
And it's $150,000 difference in price.
You have a lot of energy.
Presented.
Wow.
And the seller found out.
Oh wow.
Seller found out.
Right now, neighbor told me.
Ooh, neighbor. I love Joe.
Okay, so question, what if it, like you said, but what if the seller really said, you know what? I really don't like the terms of this, even though it's higher. So if I go to arbitration, can I just have the seller
They're a
come and
witness.
say, yeah,
Yeah, they can write a letter or they're a witness. Yeah, either way.
yeah,
But as a listing agent, you need to keep journals. You need to have that information in command, like as an email or a document. What I keep paper journals and then I can just scan it in as a PDF and I have everything that ever happened to that deal in the event that I know there's something funky going on, right? I mean, she would already know that offer, whether she would know, did she present it? Maybe not. Maybe she's got both sides of the deal, so she knows she didn't present it. So she better be documenting some, I'm picking on Sean again. She needs to be documenting what happened and why they chose this one. And maybe she gave them a break on the commission. Instead of charging 6%, she charged 4% because she had both sides, which is also wrong, also a violation. But it, so she would have to document everything because this can happen 18 months after closing and she's gonna forget what happened with that transaction. So keep a journal.
So if she got both sides, she needs to also note in MLS.
Dual variable, but nobody's doing that. Ish, didn't we just have that conversation about dual variable?
What is it again? Explain it.
Dual variable rate in the MLS?
Is if you take less commission?
Ish, was that you that we had that discussion?
Yes, and it ended up like I'm not representing the buyer. There's no buyer agent. I'm just representing the seller. So we didn't.
Okay,
Yeah.
so dual variable. If in the MLS there's a box that says dual variable, you have to check or not check. If at your listing appointment, you came to the agreement that if someone else brings the seller, we're each gonna get 3%, or you're paying 6%, I pay the other side 3%, which means we each get 3%. Right? That's normal. Okay. But let's say I make an agreement at the listing table and I tell the seller, okay, if a co-op agent brings someone, it's 6%. If I bring the buyer, I'll do it for 4%.
And that's a variable.
That's a dual variable rate.
What if you?
And so you have to mark it in the MLS, hold your question, you have to mark it, check the box, dual variable rate. Anytime you see dual variable rate, you may ask the agent what it is and they must tell you. Because you have an unfair advantage that if you bring the buyer, the seller saves money.
Okay.
Whereas the other agent is gonna cost them 2% more. Well, that's an unfair advantage to the listing agent, but could I raise my offer by that 2% so that the seller still makes the same money? Yes, then that's why you have to tell me.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Oh, that's a good one.
Dolores,
What?
what happens if you decide to, kind of like what happened with me recently, like that wasn't in the listing agreement, but you know, through conversations, you decide to reduce your commission in order to, you know, make the deal work.
Yeah, but you still have to change it in the MLS.
Then you have to change it in the MLS.
The minute you came to that agreement with your seller, even if it's while under contract, change it.
Okay.
And here's the next thing, before you even list it, I have a situation here, I'm not too sure how it works, but if she has a buyer, if this lady has a buyer, a potential buyer wants to buy the house, and I'm able to negotiate with that buyer before I put it on the MLS.
Nope.
No.
You've got to put dual variable if you're gonna give them a different rate for that buyer, unless you're excluding that buyer from the transaction altogether.
So
From your commission.
if I wrote a listing agreement and we haven't put it on the MLS and the person brought the buyer, do I still need to put it on the MLS?
Yeah.
I still need to put it on the MLS.
Unless it's a pocket listing, and we know what pocket listings are. Then
Um,
you're doing it's a complete different side deal.
when you say pocket listing, I'm not
Didn't
sorry.
Didn't we find out when
If it's
Libby
in
and
the
I
same
did that?
company.
It's, we,
We use a different listing form.
yes.
And it would only go to agents in your office or under the same broker. It's completely different. And then,
She sometimes gets a deal and she sells it at the same time, but they just do a commission agreement.
just a commission agreement, yeah.
That's
You
the way
can't
we
use
do
the
it.
listing agreement because that says you're gonna put it in the MLS.
It's just, but you can put it in MLS as a closing because it says, I spent hours
Yeah,
studying
that-
MLS,
That is in there, but you gotta be really careful with that.
but it's in MLS,
So here's the whole,
right?
I have like 6 forms to go. All right, we table that for now.
Yeah.
Okay, let me table that. All right. So, the only other thing I want to say on here. Last page, nothing's changed on here. If you have both sides of the deal, make sure your name's on both sides. In compliance, I'm seeing single names. Make sure it's the right brokerage. And do not put commissions on here. I cannot, no, I can't fight it for you. Do not put commissions on here. One thing I can't defend anywhere. This contract shall not modify any MLS or offer of commission. Do not put commissions. The MLS is the agreement between agents, and that's why we need that when you're in command. I always need the full MLS, because that's a snapshot of what the commission was the day it was done. This would not change it. And that's why I need the full MLS. I need to see, because they could change it after, at any time, right?
Yeah,
But the minute you get a contract goes into command. Don't wait for anything. Don't wait for inspections, don't wait for anything. Put it through compliance immediately with the full MLS. Because that's the only place I can see it, and I will fight tooth and nail for commissions. But I need that full MLS printout. That's why if you see me turning it back, it's because you sent me a cute MLS with your picture on it. The minute I see your picture on it, I know it's the public one. So I'm like, picture on it, that's nice. I don't need your picture. I need a full MLS with the listing, with the commission on it.
And then unless you can also see the tracking that they changed.
Oh, I can see everything.
Everything, just in case you forget.
In history, yeah. So if I get a full MLS that says they're paying you 3% and a $1,000 bonus, and then when we go to close, it's changed, I'll print off that change, I will save it, I'll go in your command, I'll print it off, I'll change it because I can see the HUD and I can see the full MLS. If the HUD doesn't match the full MLS, then I right away print off the history and we're fighting. Now, am I gonna fight for $10? No. But 5,000, I'm fighting for it because because we have company dollar in there, right? And it's not fair to you, so we'll fight it. Yeah. Okay, all right, so we have our inspection, our addendums. I have them all, anyone have to little addendums? The first one is I, the one that's, oh, the first one is I that we just talked about. Go back up to this things, mold inspection. Yep, so remember up here it said I was reserved, I is taken. Well, that's the same. I is taken. They should be in order, they should not start off with I, mold inspection. There's letters, I always do them alphabetical, and when you go into command, they're all alphabetical too.
Well, this is B and E.
I is the first one, they were in order. They started off with.
There was like so many files. I just grabbed one of them.
I would be the first one.
Okay.
They're alphabetical, so if you find I, put the rest in alphabetical order. I, mold inspection.
So why is B? No first and I?
Double D.
Okay.
BHOA.
Comes before the double letter.
Do you see these though?
But there's E.
It's B.
B.
How did you get that?
It was there.
Oh, so maybe someone took it off of this one.
I have B and E.
Isn't that weird?
Here, you can take mine too.
Let me take mine.
I have B and E. I don't have a E.
Okay, I have
Oh,
an
wait,
E.
there's those facts over here.
Do you have an A there?
No, there's only B, E, I, and then there's also L.
E.
Let me see which
E.
one.
Right here. What's there?
No, we don't have that one either.
It was there.
Here, you can have, which one did you just get?
Two.
Okay, who needs B?
Yeah, B.
Oh, so y'all
We have
can grab them as-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I grabbed one of everything.
Facts. It's double sided too. Who needs B?
I need B.
Who needs B?
I have double D.
Jeremy?
I have double D. I have E.
No, do you have B?
Yeah.
I have
I
E.
need B.
Just get up B.
Here.
One at a time here.
If you want, I can pass out any forms of the ones that.
If you grab the whole stack, yeah, then we'll be okay. All right, let's start off with B.
But we don't, so nothing happened with the A?
Uh-uh. Well, what happened with B?
Oh, you know, B was separate.
B is here.
They're all
B.
separate.
B is
B was
here.
separate.
Second page of, I'm like, nothing's changed.
Association.
Okay,
approval.
second page of B, that's what it is.
Is required or not required?
That's it?
Yeah, no.
Is
And then the
and it's
assessment,
not.
they changed the wording and put it crazy.
Okay, so all they changed is approval is required or not required, check one, that's it?
Yep.
Oh, wait, there's more.
And
There's-
then
no,
the
there's
B,
more.
it's
Okay,
B.
all right, hold on, everyone. Zoomers. Zoomland, do you guys have B, the homeowner association addendum?
Yes.
Okay, so in part B, like the second page, but you guys are looking at it online. The first change is the association approval of the buyer is or is not required. So that's a new change. And then down on section 2, if special or other assessments levied by the association exist, as the effective date or any assessments are levied after the effective date and prior to closing and are due and payable in full prior to closing, then seller shall pay these assessments to closing. These are only homeowner association, not any other kind of assessments. And then if any such assessments may be paid in installments, then seller shall pay all installments which are due before closing date prior to closing. Yeah, okay, so they're just clarifying. And then C, seller shall pay prior to closing all fines. Ooh, that's new. Seller shall pay prior to closing all fines imposed against the seller or the property by the association which exist as of the closing date and fees. So they just added that on from the
That's
Assignable.
pretty good.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
so that's good. So now the seller is clearly responsible to close out that fine.
Okay.
All right, what's next?
VA, FHA.
Dolores, it's Katya. I have a question about the HOA disclosure. Okay, it has to be provided to the purchaser, yes. And usually, okay, the
Oh,
buyer's
hold on,
agent.
Hold on.
Mhm.
Okay, we're only doing B now, so just hold on to those until we get the other, and then we'll raise our hands up if you want to hand them out. All right, what was it, Katja?
Okay, so it has to be provided to the buyer. So, and usually the buyer's agent sends it with the offer. Sometimes there's a form in MLS under documents, the sellers, the listing agent has filled it out, the seller has initialed it. However, many times, the buyer's agent fills it out, has the buyer initial, and sends it with the offer. Now, my question is legally, who has to do it first, the buyer or the seller, or does it matter as long as it's just presented to the buyer? Does it, who has to provide it?
The buyer's agent initiates all forms.
Not this thing,
Yeah, the buyer's agent initiates all forms.
but they should give you the information.
Hold
So
on.
like, that's the thing, is like, how would I, as a buyer's agent,
Hold
know
on.
for sure these amounts are correct?
All right.
All right, got it. Caveat emptor. What am I supposed to do?
Right.
Go to the.
I have to research it, right?
I always do.
It's your job to research it. You do the best of your ability. It starts with the MLS because hopefully the other agent put an attachment in there or filled in the right, which we know. they don't.
No, thank you.
Okay, so, but we have to do something, right? And then if you're still not comfortable, you can call up the association. But when I send you this offer, the listing agent has to make the changes to it also, right? They're supposed to help you. But I would call up the listing agent. I would look at the MLS. And with condos, I'm not too worried about HOAs, but with condos, I would definitely call and get the rules and regulations. So whose job is that? Buyer's agent.
Somewhere I Google like some statute, something, it said the seller has to provide it. So
They
I
have to
just, that's why I
provide
wanted
the
to,
information.
okay.
We submit the offer, they're supposed to correct it and provide the information. So when I'm writing the offer, how would I mean, the only way the other agent would know to provide it is if I call up and say, is there anything I need to know?
Right.
How can you?
And well, like we have a case, there's a seller who's also the listing agent and is refusing to fill it out and whatever. But anyway, so that's why I was asking.
Because the buyer's agent is supposed to initiate the forms.
And,
Okay.
yeah,
End of discussion.
and
Yeah,
you have to
Do
do
your
the
work.
application and rules and regulations
You
with
have
the
to.
buyer before sending the offer.
So a good listing agent's gonna do what?
Have all that together.
Attached
When
to
they
the,
put the
Mhm.
listing in, good
Correct
listing agent, we
information.
just went over this at the beginning
You
when
have
we
to
started
attach.
talking. US listing agents need to do everything in your power to help the buyer's agent. So that would be rules and regulations if you have them. Excuse me. If I have a seller's disclosure, what's the fastest way for me to get that seller's disclosure to you?
Freeze the listing for you.
Okay, and then, but how do I get it to the other side? What's the
And
fastest way?
Put it
I
in
put it
Hand
in the
deliver.
MLS. I would put that right in the MLS, and if it's a condo, the condo seller's disclosure has all the information on it, right?
yeah.
Right? And if I'm a really good listing agent, I'll even put the HOA form in there.
I do.
I would complete it and put it in there as a document in MLS. Look, the more I can help you, the faster I can get this property sold.
The less
Right?
calls.
As a listing agent, look, we're all on the same side, right? I need to get it sold. You need to get that buyer under contract so that you can close. We're both sitting there waiting for our big commission check, $2,500. So, so it's everyone's responsibility, but buyer initiates forms, so that's where yours is.
Okay.
And shame on that agent who's also selling their own property and not working with you.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's.
thank you.
Does anything surprise you anymore?
No, I'm never surprised at anything. Okay, what's the next one that's a change? E, what's E? FHA. Anyone need FHA?
For VA.
FHA, VA?
So I think we'll have,
Anyone need FHA? I don't have it either. Oh, it was a separate form.
That's
The double
different.
sided.
Oh, here's-
okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did you need these?
No,
Okay.
FHA, anyone need an FHA?
What
Here's a
number
couple
is that?
extra if you need 'em.
What letter is
It's
that?
E.
I'm okay. Anyone need an FHA? Okay? It's double-sided. The double-sided were separate, that's why. That's
Wait,
okay.
you didn't hear the molded one.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
So,
This
E
one.
was changed, FHA,
Oh,
so
yeah.
let's see what they changed.
Right there.
Definition, they crossed something out, no big deal. 1C, they added D. VA is the US Department of Veteran Affairs, they added that in. Inspections, in addition to the requirements crossed out of this contract, sellers shall only comply with FHA regulations regarding crossed out lender required inspections. Thank you.
They took that stupid term out.
They took all the garbage out and just put lender required inspections. That's great. So don't have to worry about that. And additional costs required to be paid by any other provisions of this contract. That's it. Then all the way down to A, fees and prepayments. Purchasers shall pay all loan expenses except tax service fee, which fee, if charged by buyer's lender, shall be paid by the seller to a maximum of, if left blank, $100. Next page, fees and okay, so what I tell you about leaving things blank?
Don't do it.
Yeah, so put the $100 in there. So as
zero?
Huh?
With the zero?
Why would you put 0 if you have the buyer and you're filling out this form?
Just asking.
You want the other side to pay as much as possible, but we were putting in more than $100. I know I was putting in $250. Because I want, because I'm the buyer's agent, right? I want the seller to pay everything I can. But that's what they put if left blank $100, so put 100 in or whatever you want, but it's defaulting to 100, so not to leave it blank anymore. Now that's a good, now who's filling out the form? The buyer's agent, right? Okay, so for the buyer's agent, you want the seller to pay. Now, on the other side, if I'm the listing agent, I want to cross everything out.
Yeah.
Is there a maximum?
Unless it's left
The
blank.
reason of my question is because sometimes when you put the fee there, like the amount, they call you, the listing agent call you back and
Yes.
say, what is it about?
So leave
Why
it
did you-
blank.
Why did you put 0?
So leave it blank. Because what happens if you leave it blank?
So it's gonna be.
It's $100.
Okay.
They won't notice.
Oh.
Because RDR.
Or even though he
realtors
said to
don't
fill
really-
in the spot, but
Okay.
in this case.
In this
leave it
case,
blank.
don't leave it blank.
Now, if you're on the list, if you're the listing agent, you better look at this, right?
You gotta put 0.
Yeah, you better put a 0. Okay, does this make sense? Because some of you are kind of like, yes, and some of you are kind of like, what is she saying? So the buy side is different from the listing side, right? So on the buy side, I want the other side to pay for everything. So if I leave it blank and the other agent doesn't notice, then it's $100. So maybe you should leave some blank.
Oh, here's something interesting.
Okay. Second page, there was something else in here. Fees and prepayments. Sellers shall pay, and they added in, all required fees under VA regulations up to, if left blank, then $250. Again, you're the buyer's agent. Now you can leave it blank.
Okay.
My listing agents are gonna kill me.
I was going to ask, are there maximums for these values?
No, but you want, so, I've got a mess now. You want to make your contract, your offer, because this is an offer, right? It's not executed, ironclad. And you don't want to put anything in there that will turn off the other side. Because if there's 5 offers going in, if you put so many roadblocks in there, yours just gets put aside.
Okay.
So you've got to make sure that it works for everybody. There's no win side, there's no losers, it just has to work for everyone. And FHA, for some reason, listing agents don't like in order. They don't like VA, they don't like FHA, and then they don't like loans, because cash. So be prepared for a conversation about VA. Because if you have a VA buyer, be prepared with a conversation. because I used to make the other agent feel so guilty. Are you serious? You want to accept VA? This person gave their life for us.
Right.
Good.
And then I sent a picture of the person in uniform.
Oh, you are such a manipulator.
It works.
It works. I'm telling you, it works. It works every time. This person sacrificed their life for you. And all we're asking is that we put a roof over their head and their 7 children and the dog.
Not the dog with 3 legs.
Dog with 3 legs.
And then you gotta prove that. And then you have to prove that.
And hope it's not a pit bull. Yeah. So you've got to tug at the heart, right? So
Yeah.
it just annoys me when someone will not accept the video. Well, not accept, but at least present it in the same light or a better light. Because they're still gonna walk away from the closing table with the money. Where it comes from doesn't matter. They're still gonna get all that money at closing. It still gets funded. So can we make someone's life easier? And then FHA, I mean, like, you're being punished because you don't have the best credit score?
No, it's
You know?
not that, it's the complicate.
The
As a mortgage,
ratios. Yeah, the
exactly, is the
ratios,
ratios, is the
But
appraisal,
still,
is,
It's so hard and people.
and God knows if they are not
Condos we
approved,
don't even care about, yeah.
so.
Pay cash for those. But yeah, so this thing is important. Now, I also notice a lot in compliance. Where I dropped the VA.
It's
thing.
that paper right there.
This one?
No. Go to the right.
VA.
Oh.
Okay. So look on the VA form. Please do not forget to put in the brokers. Your signatures are required on this form. I sent so many of these back because the agents, both agents, list side and buy side, didn't sign it. So this and lead-based paint have to be signed by the agents. Those are the only 2 addendums that need to be signed by the agents. Okay, what's the next one?
Mold inspection.
Mold inspection. Oh, now we're to the I. Okay. Now I know it. Mold inspection. Mold inspection. So this is just a new form, because remember this was reserved. So now this is mold inspection. It's just a new form, brand new, never been used. Actually, it was there before, but they took it away and they brought it back. So that was great. Mold inspection. If you go to the house and the buyer mentions mold, don't worry, I have an addendum for that. We'll have it taken care of. I'll include it with the offer. So just, it's okay, we'll take care of that. Ignore the mold. Like where the kitchen is. And then make sure you write yourself a note to include the mold inspection addendum, because it's optional, like all these are optional, right? So make sure you include it. But usually we're going into season, right? I can't believe it's the holidays. We're going into season. Northerners are petrified of mold. Floridians live in mold. Used to it. I don't think we know it's there, but mold is a big deal when you're coming from up north.
Keeps grinding.
So mold is a big deal. So buyer at buyer's expense may have inspections of the property in the presence of mold conducted by a qualified licensed home inspector, contractor, or other professionals as provided in whatever. So this is all about the mold inspection. If they want it, make sure you include it and you put a little X in the box over there.
Yeah, but right here say the mold inspection reviews the presence of mold, say if left blank, then 500, only 500 because they find mold in.
Don't leave it blank.
So you
wait, no, that's not for the remediation.
It's saying, yeah.
That's not remediation.
Or repair at cost.
Yeah.
Which it says, so how much you put there, because you want your buyers.
Well, you don't want the offer turned down, so I'm gonna figure it out, but you ask your inspector.
Sorry.
Okay. Right to inspect and right to cancel. Now, this form was changed. All they did was take out the bottom number 5 on the form. But this is this will replace your right to inspect right now. So if you're using the as is, I don't know why we have this in here anymore. I'm gonna leave this one off. Don't use this one until I read this a little further. But I do wanna show you something on here. Go back to the one we just had. What was it?
The mold inspection.
Look at the bottom where it says mold. I make such a mess over here.
Does this addendum have something to do with what we talked about before, where you mentioned if you put 0 in their right to cancel?
Well, that's why I need to read this one more carefully. That's why I'm putting it aside.
Okay.
I have concerns about this. I don't want it to disqualify the contract.
Okay.
Look at your mold inspection thing again. The bottom left-hand side where it says page 1 of 1, mold inspection. You see underneath it, it says CR 6, right? Okay, and then it has the date on it. So when you're using the as-is contract, every addendum has to say CR on it. When you're going into DocuSign and you go into something like, I'm in form simplicity just because I like how big they show it. But there are, you know what? There are other forms in there that you will see. So let's see. So let me look up. Okay, of course, they're all here. Okay, I'm going to use this one so you can see what I'm talking about. So this is a FERPTA addendum. And at the bottom of this FERPTA addendum, it says CRSP. Oh, now which ones did I just tell you to use for your contract? CR only. If you ever see CRSP, it has nothing to do with the as-is contract. It belongs to a different contract. So as a listing agent, make sure you don't get something from the other agent that says CRSP. So for the as-is, we don't have a FERPTA addendum. This is only for the other contracts. Okay, there is no FERPTA. If you look on page 11, there's no FERPTA addendum. And agents, for some reason, think that they have to have this. But in the as-is contract, FERPTA's already in there. We don't need an addendum. So if this ever comes in with a regular contract, I can't use it. I'll send it back. You've disqualified everything about the as-is contract.
Oh, wow.
And I can't use it. So anytime you see CRSP, it does not belong with the as-is. Not ever combine this CRSP.
So if you get a contract or an offer with the CRSP, do you just?
Tell the agent, if you're the listing agent and I see this,
Yeah.
I'm sending it back and saying, this does not apply. Please tell your buyer if they signed it, I'm not using it. Cannot use it, it doesn't work. I want my seller won't sign it. I can't let my seller sign it. Let me see.
So they submit a new offer then without it, correct?
We don't need it. We're never going to use it, right?
Right.
Don't need a FERPTA addendum.
But we
Right,
can't
I
just
get
fill everything but that form out and then send it.
You can and cross this one out.
Great.
And send it back. You sign it. Don't let anyone else sign it. Just you sign it and send it back.
Okay.
Inspection. I'll show you why this is so a good example. Let's see if this has it. Okay. Look at your contract and tell me what paragraph 8 is about. Look at any contract and tell me what paragraph 8 is about.
Money. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah, it's the money. It's money, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is a crisp addendum. These are a crisp inspection addendum. Now, and this is why it belongs to a different contract. It talks about paragraph 8. It's not the as-is contract. This belongs to, this paragraph 8 is a different contract. That's why you can't mix up Chris with Farbar. Don't worry about if it makes sense and I'm talking goop. Chris refers to a different contract with different paragraph 9, paragraph 8, which is about inspections. It's a completely different contract, and that's why we can't mix the two. So we only use CR, only. It's the only one we use, Farbar and CR. And if anything comes through or another agent says, oh yeah, you should use the FERPA, you're like, nah, it's a crisp addendum. Chris doesn't belong with this. You don't need a FERPA addendum, it's already in the contract. It's already completely spelled out. You don't need an additional piece of paper. This is a completely different contract. So, you see Chris, throw it away.
So the as is, you said the as is at the bottom.
As is and CR is at the bottom. All of ours have CR at the bottom.
And it matches with the addendum numbers.
Everything matches. The letters match, everything matches. Yeah. Is that good? Crisp is just different. Just know that it's different. These are CRs. Where's 7 and 8? See, they talked about 8 and 9. Yeah, it doesn't match. It's just one word. Just one word. You gotta be careful with that. Okay, what's next?
T.
Which one?
T.
Closing.
T as in Tom. Yeah. Pre-closing occupancy by buyer.
Oh, something to do. Okay, it's always been there, but let's see what we have with that.
Closing of professional agreement.
Pre-closing by.
Occupancy.
Pre-closing.
Which number is that?
T.
Are we on T?
Yes.
Pre-closing.
Does anyone need a T?
I do.
Yeah, you can read on with me for now.
Yeah.
They're
We
up there
pass,
though.
right to inspect, L.
So pre-closing occupancy by the buyer. So the buyer wants to move in early before closing date. Yeah. Why would I let a buyer move in early?
As the,
Why would I let a buyer move in early? Because they're homeless now.
oh my gosh.
First of all, if they move in early, who covers insurance? Who's liable for anything that happens in that house?
Seller.
Yeah. And then if we don't close, because I'm letting them move in before closing and now they can't close, what do I do? Evict them?
Oh, Lord.
So,
My mom did not.
oh my God, no. But if you have to, there's a
It made no
pre-closing.
sense to me why we needed to.
I don't like it. But anyway, it's here. And the change on here is in the first paragraph. This contract is contingent on buyer and seller within, if left blank, 10 days after effective date, delivering to each a mutually agreeable written lease or pre-closing occupancy agreement or other similar agreement. So it doesn't have to be a lease anymore. It could just be a paragraph in here,
Sweet.
right? So you don't have to do the entire lease. That's it. So you can tell I don't like pre-closing anything. But you know, it happens. Post-closing. My seller doesn't want to move out.
Oh, no.
Post-closing, the seller would like to stay in the house after closing. Whose insurance? Who pays taxes? Who pays utilities?
And for free.
And for free.
Buyer.
And then when they move out, there's holes in the wall.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I'm just joking. Oh, and then they don't move out,
Yeah.
right? And then they don't move out.
And they
Anyway,
collect the money, right?
so this is saying the same thing, that you can have some kind of agreement. No big deal. Obviously, I don't like pre or post closing. In Florida, the day of closing, the house belongs to the buyer and the seller's supposed to move out before. It's a little different here. We expect them to hand over the keys at closing, which means it has to be completely empty and a walkthrough done, and then your buyer doesn't show up. Like, the buyer doesn't show up for closing and your seller is like completely packed with a moving truck out front. Has it happened? Oh my God, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Oh, yeah. it's happened many times. Okay, we're on V,
Yes.
sale of buyer's property.
The contract be null if the
Oh,
buyer
no,
doesn't show
you.
up?
Can the what?
The contract, is it void?
No, we all go to court. We're all
So
going to court.
you,
That was post-closing.
yeah, so that's it.
That's done.
V.
V, sale of buyer's property. So they added something on here. If buyer fails to timely, they crossed up stuff. Well, they crossed out everything after B, waiving and removing this contingency. If buyer fails to timely deliver written notice to seller that this contingency shall have no further force or effect. So I'm writing this because my buyer wants to buy the house now, but they need to sell their house first. And then this is written notice, so the buyer has to provide written notice if they can't do it. Okay, nothing special. Nothing special on here. Okay, we're okay with that. Backup contract. The backup contract just says that if deposits were made, the 5 PM was taken out, if deposits were made, and the backup is in back, the deposit goes back to the buyer with no argument. I mean, if you don't accept my offer, give me my money back. I don't even know why they have to put that in.
Yeah, really.
You turn me down, and then I have to fight for my money. That's ridiculous.
What's the
So
point
this
of
is clearly saying you're getting it back. This is new. We're on DE. This is new. Never been here before. Why did they just make this? Seasonal and vacation rentals after closing. This property is or may be subject to seasonal or short-term vacation rental for occupancy. I don't understand what this is.
Because a lot of people are buying that Airbnb.
Seller may or may not, after effective date and prior to closing, enter into new or renewal seasonal rate. I don't understand. Seller may or may not, after effective date and prior to closing.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah,
I
I-
can't rent it out before closing.
Exactly, it's like
Oh,
they cannot renew. If you have rented for 5 days, they cannot go and put another 5 days.
before closing. Okay, unless you have buyer's written approval.
Yeah, that
Okay,
makes sense.
well, that makes sense.
Like
All right,
after it's
good.
listed.
All right, that makes sense.
After it's listed,
You have to
After,
check.
no, after it's under contract, between contract and closing. Because this offer is part of the contract, right?
Yeah.
So between contract and closing, if he puts someone in there like an Airbnb and they plan on staying after closing, you need the buyer's permission or you can't do it at all.
No, you have to
Right,
check.
right.
the
You have
box.
to check it, yeah. Which is good,
Yes, it is.
because that way the buyer is put on notice that there's somebody in there. If they don't leave, it's the buyer's problem. And then the last one. Yay. There's so many more they could have done. Property, oh, this is PACE. Oh, I love PACE. I'm so glad they did this. Well, not really, but it's good that they brought it up. Property assessed clean energy PACE disclosure. Property assessed clean property assessed clean energy. Programs provide financing to property owners for improvements of their real property for energy efficiency, renewable energy, wind resistance, and repayment of debt through annual property tax bill assessments on the property, blah, blah, blah. In the event the buyer is obtaining a mortgage loan to purchase the property, be advised that most mortgage lenders will require the satisfaction or release of PACE financing. All right, want an example? Okay. So the roof, the new windows, and all those things are energy efficient, PACE qualified loans. So PACE is a company that gives you the loan to do that. And the way PACE gets paid back is through your property taxes. So you should know that, because I could just sell my house and I sell it to Sean and I'm like, see ya, because I didn't tell her. She now is paying off my loan through her property taxes. Now, well, she got the windows. Pay for them. So this is saying that you've got to be notified. The lender has to be notified. So if there's a PACE loan, now who would find out if there's a PACE loan?
The title.
A few people would find out. Title would find out. I would find out. Attorney, closing agent, title agent. How about the listing agent? Is this a question you should ask?
Yeah, you should.
If you tell me that, oh my, I have all energy efficiency windows, these are brand new storm doors and everything was done in the last 2 to 3 years, or I got a new roof 5 years ago, what's the question you should ask? Did you get a PACE loan? Did you get a PACE loan? Yeah. Yeah. How does that get taken care of? Wouldn't you like to know as a buyer's agent how this is going to get taken care of? That's why they want to release.
What if,
So as a buyer's agent, you know there's windows. Now you can see these things, they're on the tax roll.
that's what I asked
There's
you.
liens on them.
In the
right? There's
property
liens on
appraisal,
them.
can you see it?
Property appraiser, I'm not sure, but pretty sure it'll be on there.
Then who pays for the windows and roof?
Well, they're saying I should pay off the loan first. I'm like, no, I think you're enjoying the house with the new windows and the new roof. You should pay it off. So that's a negotiating tool. It's a negotiating tool, right? I don't live there. You pay for it. So it's just extra questions. And it's only energy efficiency stuff. It's roof and windows is typically what it is.
Does this qualify for things like Tesla and like those things?
No.
Okay.
That's not real problem.
Okay.
Solar panels? Solar panels? Yes, energy efficiency. So you see the solar panels up there? The big thing is the windows and the roof. Those are, because the windows and the roof are the same price. They're both about $30,000. They're expensive, right? They're about the same price on a regular house. So this was good because these things were being passed off and people weren't aware of it.
Wow.
So it's an extra question. Is that everything?
It is.
Wow. All right, we did it. Not too bad. Not too bad. Not too bad, guys.
Can the buyers come after you? Like, they're like,
That's
oh
why
my,
they're signing the addendum. What the addendums about? The addendums and riders and disclosures, they're all a way of disclosing information, and that's why the other side has to sign it. Hey, did you know there's an HOA? Initial there's an HOA. There's a contract. That's how we disclose. Seller's disclosure. We're just telling them the information. And that's why we don't have a seller's disclosure. So if you don't have a seller's disclosure, and the buyer does their inspection, and everything, and you find out stuff afterwards, can they come after you? Absolutely, the listing agent, absolutely, we're going to court. That's what our errors and omission insurance is for, you know, that you forgot to do something, you didn't disclose something. I mean, we, you know, you pay for the deductible on the insurance, but that's why it's there, because otherwise they can sue you for the whole thing. Yeah. So there's a lot of burden on the listing agent.
Looks so cool.
All right, guys, have a great Saturday, and then we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you.
All the forms are there.
Miss Dolores, if you wanted to put your email passwords sheet somewhere else so you don't forget.
I have to put it back, it was on a wall.
Okay, don't forget.
Okay, Right, let me hang it up before I go. And I'm gonna leave this mess here. There we go. Okay. Let me put this out there. Denise, I'm right last night.
Okay, yeah.
Nice to meet you. Pretty name.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm you.
Janice.
I just started. Last one.
All right, so I
Yeah,
didn't put
so
the-
I'm still
when do you want to come
learning.
in and talk to us?
Oh, you're in a good place. Dolores.
Yes.
Are you ready to sign up?
She's awesome. Right now.
Want to do it right now?
So far, so
Okay,
good.
I can do that. All right.
This office is actually.
No, I agree.
We're working.
Yeah.
I'm
And then
working.
if we go-
So that's.
I'll see that. Yeah.
Good office.
Yeah.
I normally go to the user office.
Well, this is.
Yeah, that's.
I don't like.
No.
So where do you live?
I live in Atlanta. I collapse.
Okay. So where are you working country mostly?
Not sure yet. I wanna do the whole entire Palm Beach, but I don't think. that's
No,
possible.
don't do all Palm Beach.
I'm not the guy. Pick one area.
Pick a small area and concentrate on that. I had Jack Yellis.
Yeah, I did a meet with her not too long ago on financial.
And Asia Finance. And she owns a couple offices. She's really successful. She's really great woman. I've done classes with her. She's been my partner in classes.
Oh,
and things like that. And so, I mean, when I see her, I go, she's kind of,
Yeah, she seems like a cool person.
but she was like, Richard, if you want to be big.
I just bent down to throw something in my
Oh,
trash.
so focus in one area.
So take like a development in the neighborhood.
And that was like the
Concentrate
icing
on
on
that
the cake of me just
Ah,
okay?
Okay.
I'm literally on the floor.
Yeah, like right
Very
now,
small.
do you have like
What
maybe
my
a
bedroom
suggestion,
carpet is.
which area?
No, that's, you have to figure out what
That's
you
me,
want to look
that's-
at.
yeah.
You know, look at, go in MLS and look at how many, have you done all your MLS classes?
Yeah, I did the application. They haven't sent me
Oh,
anything
First
on
available 6 o'clock
paying the
tonight.
fees and
Help
can do
any
the
like.
classes yet.
Okay, so you gotta
and
do
then
the fees and then you gotta
stretches
do the
through
classes, and when
house.
you get in there,
Meanwhile,
then
I'm
you're gonna
doing
look
these
at the MLS,
stretches
get
all
into
day,
the
so I
MLS, you're
can
gonna
be
see,
able to walk.
you wanna look at how many houses sell in a
And
certain neighborhood.
he
And
literally.
that's where you wanna,
That's right.
you wanna
Like
pick
this
a neighborhood that
My
has a
massage.
decent turnover.
Wow.
So
And
that's.
like turn this way. I'm telling
Thank
you,
you.
there's like,
Thank you, because I was like, when they asked me for my bio, I'm like,
pelvic
oh,
bone
should it be the whole area?
No, no,
Yeah.
you wanna be in a small
Yeah.
area, I mean, I will
L5S1
do a little bit,
is
I mean,
the
I've gone up to
below
Port
that.
St. Lucies and.
Well,
and
L5S1
Delray.
is
Those
right
are
here.
special
Yeah.
cases.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mainly.
Okay.
Okay.
Sacral. Sacrum, yeah.
And I even,
think
a
I need to
special
go
area
there.
Wellington,
Sacrum is
you know.
connected
Yeah.
to
Yeah, you know,
pelvic
I have
bone.
a small area.
hip.
of Wellington.
Yeah,
So,
like
Well,
that area, yeah, because they're relatives.
Relatives,
Yeah.
It's not that big. Palm Beach Gardens is big.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, Palm Beach Gardens goes all the way out to Acres,
He's very, he's booked up, but.
all the way out
he's
to
let him
Grapeview,
know
which is almost
that
Emerald Pratt.
My goodness.
referred you.
Yeah, it's Palm Beach Gardens is huge.
But you know what you said, that, because you know, because
He's
sometimes I have
fantastic.
cases
It's
where
located off
people
of Lake Worth
wanna
Road
work
and
abroad
like
and all that
basically.
stuff. And
Um,
I
call
tell
him
them
today,
I work
okay?
remotely
So
with
it's
them,
important.
like, because I have a couple Section 8 clients.
Mhm.
And I work with the caseworker in Hollywood, but I've been
Okay.
dealing with them remotely. But you're right, because I live in Madison Green.
Your
And
last
as
name's
you
Woods,
said,
right?
go
Yeah.
deep. I never thought
All
about
Pick
that.
100 homes
Thank you.
and farm 100
And he's
homes.
fantastic. and he'll
Start
help
with
you. I'm
just
telling you, I
100.
know exactly
So
what you're
the area that you pick, you can help
Yeah.
100 homes.
Like start off with 100 homes.
But they have to have a good turnover.
Well, you want, and you're gonna pick those 100 homes,
Uh-huh.
right? And you're gonna pick 100 homes, and for the first month, you're gonna send them a postcard. Then you're gonna back
It's
off.
all interconnected.
But in their mind now, they're seeing you
To see if they're even.
every week, boom, 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 they're always hitting this, you
He's
know,
off of Lake Worth
they're
Road.
seeing that.
So
And
he's, I mean,
then
this is
you're gonna
open
back
till
off to like
week.
once
Go
every 2
south.
weeks.
So you're gonna pass.
You know, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
turn
and I
right,
have to find
just
the
to
turnover.
turn
And then you gotta, it's gonna
past
take,
Southern
you know,
and
a
over
year,
down and
you
then
know,
Lake Worth Road is the
8,
other next exit.
12 months to
Okay.
get established.
And then you get off the exit,
So,
you
yeah.
make a left.
And
So that's what you want. You don't want huge.
it's like office.
And then you can add on.
Oh, yeah, because right now I'm doing my advertisement. So then he's not.
You need to get it with them.
Okay. He doesn't want you to see it. He's like doing everything by massage. Since I had cards.
No, you need to get into
And
the
that's
MLS.
why
You
I
need to
had
get,
this.
do your MLS classes.
You know how they just
Okay,
adjust
you
your.
know, class 1 and 2, and
Well,
then you'll do
they
your
straight, like they stretch out your ligaments down
do your
there.
class 1 and 2.
And now you do this.
Because that's kind of learning how to add and subtract before you worry about.
And I should know. I teach math.
No, but when you're, it's funny, when you're in a level of expertise, it's like, you know, you have to rest on what others are doing. What makes it viable, what makes it possible. Yeah.
I'm just, I'm a luxury agent.
Oh,
So
okay.
I do, and I also do commercial, so. That's where I'm just so you know.
Yeah, okay. Did you do any, like median homes before you started with luxury?
Yeah. Still do them now.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm not gonna turn away a sale.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So, no, so. I'd rather do one big sale than a bunch of little ones.
Exactly, yeah, of course.
And I won't go into Century Village.
Century Village.
I've had, I mean.
Century Village is a place.
Century Village is.
Is the 55 plus.
Community.
Oh, community, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to find out what
It's like
Century-
$50,000 for a
Oh,
condo.
yeah. Oh, no,
$60,000.
no.
So you're making like pitsy money.
Yeah.
And they're like every building in Century Village has its own HOA association.
Oh,
So,
my God.
and then there's
I
a
didn't know.
master association, and then you gotta jump through all these hoops. And it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not messing with it.
Too much time.
And you
Time
gotta-
and little turnover for your time, yeah.
Yeah, and the higher value properties, so a lot of it's cash. So you're not even dealing with appraisals, you're not even dealing with, you know,
Much
mortgages.
easier, yeah.
It's just cash, 2 weeks, boom, done, or whatever, you know, but it's paying cash anyway. So
Oh, I didn't realize that, most of the.
very few are mortgages.
Mm.
Or if they are doing mortgage, they will do the mortgage after.
After.
And then
I
if
mean,
it's,
like a seller financing? Like the
no,
seller-
they, them, like the buyer, after they bought the place for cash, then their accountant will play the games.
Oh,
Like, if you
and
get
then
in-
they get the loan.
But then you out of the
But a lot
picture.
of times, if really expensive homes, they themselves are writing themselves the mortgage.
Oh.
So that, because it's an accounting game that they can actually write off the
Right off,
interest and
yeah.
everything else. You know, meanwhile, you know, it's a whole game.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah.
accountants doing their magic.
Oh, my
So-
goodness,
so-
different world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
a lot to learn.
Oh, let me give you
Realizing
my
that.
card. We can trade numbers. We can-
Oh, cool, awesome.
we can text
Oh, I
me
should,
some-
I
Yeah,
don't have any on me.
that's all right, just text me your.
Yes.
your card.
I should have.
Well,
one.
Gary Keller never has a business card, just so you know.
No?
Never?
Never. He always collects cards, collects information. Because he who has the information is in control.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So he collects it and then the contact is in his hands. The
Wow.
power is in him, you know, because he's gotten now he can call it. You know what I mean? Instead of handing out cards, he's like, I don't have any cards, give me your information. And
That's a good.
so, yeah, so that's where he's at. Anyway,
Yes, so you're.
Katya.
Katia, K-A-T-I-A.
I just text you. I wanted his information.
I have it.
Because you never know, because he seems very friendly. Yes, send me his information.
Oh, you don't have a picture. I always put pictures.
Oh, pictures of.
No, right, no.
Oh. Should I take my mask off?
There you go.
Okay.
But then there's all other times, every Wednesday at 11 o'clock. No, I have more, I just have to find it. But I'll tell you, I'll give you 6 hours. Yeah. If you look around and see other boards, they have a big. You'll see every spot. Man. Just steal it. So Bailey will call you up, she's gonna say, look, man. Website, they're trying to get she's gonna set everything up for you, so it's overwhelming, but she's gonna help you with it. Great, see you later. Bye. Sean? Yeah? Can you do me a favor and end the meeting? Oh, yeah, you got it. No. Okay, so you're just gonna read. Startup is $150, and it pays for the business cards.